Kicking off for the Eagles is Mike Michelle. Deep for the Vikings. To the near side is Kevin Miller. In the middle is Miller, and to the near side is Harry Washington. So it is Washington and Kevin Miller. I'm anxious to see approaches the ball. Kicking is very often a problem on a day like today. Mike Michelle, since kicking off and taking over in that spot for injured Nick Mickemeyer, has been doing very well. Kevin Miller deep. The crowd is ready here at Bloomington for this big game. Michelle approaches the ball. He hits it. It is high and moving over and taking it is Kevin Miller. He's at the 20, up to the 25, 30, across the 35 and up to the 37-yard line. Kevin Miller. Michelle himself makes the stop up at the 37-yard line. 24-yard return by Kevin Miller, so right away the Vikings get good field position.
Not a real good kickoff. Mike Michelle is confronted with some very tough winds here, swirling winds. This stadium is wide open in some spots, and then other spots, of course, it has a double-tiered and side-tiered bleachers, so very unpredictable winds.
First and 10 for the Vikings as Parkinson lines them up. He splits his wide receivers. Foreman, the lone running back, as he drops the throw on first down, fires to the near side, complete to Ahmad Rashad, up and out of bounds near midfield. It's Rashad who takes it inbounds at the 50 and goes out at the Eagle 49, a 14-yard pickup on first down, and Parkinson went right to the air.
Right to the air, and I'm sure the Vikings would like nothing more than to get some points on the board in a hurry and try and force the Eagles to play catch-up in these conditions. The Vikings are at their best when they've got a couple of touchdown lead on you, and they can go put that defense to work.
This time, Parkinson splits the wide receivers. He sets his running back from the eye. The lead back is Ricky Young. Parkinson rolling to his right. Stopping, looking, fires over the middle. It's complete to Rashad, and Rashad goes down close to the Eagle 20. Parkinson again to Rashad, and Rashad caught the ball at the 25 and leaned forward to the 22 before he was hit by Randy Logan and John Shara. A 26-yard gain, and a good catch right there by Rashad.
A real fine catch. He was covered. There were three Eagles in the area there, and Rashad just went up and got the football. Great effort.
So Parkinson has the Vikings on the move once again. Parkinson in his 18th year, his best passing season. This time it's a handoff. Inside it goes to Chuck Foreman, who comes down close to the 20-yard line before the Eagles stop him. Charlie Johnson was right there to put the shoulder to Chuck Foreman. A pickup of very little, maybe a yard and a half or two on the carry, but that's about all.
Interesting to note on that last forward pass, Brian Tarkenton scrambling, rolling out a little bit to the right, had the option of running, had plenty of clear field, but elected not to do it.
Second down and a long 7. The ball on the Eagles' 20-yard line. This time Parkinson sets both wide receivers left. He gives off inside, and taking the handoff is Ricky Young, coming down close to the 15-yard line before Frank Lemastro makes the stop. So we saw Frank Parkinson open up with two successful passing plays, both to Ahmad Rashad, one for a gain of 14 yards, one for 26 yards, and then a couple of running plays as they get closer and closer to the Eagle goal line. It'll be a third down and about 3. The ball is just outside the 15-yard line. Parkinson sets both wide receivers to the near side. Sammy White in the slot. Outside of him is Rashad. The back's in an open set. As Parkinson gives to Chuck Foreman, who tries to turn the far corner. He leaps over a man, comes across the 10. He has a Viking first down. Bill Berge finally runs him out of bounds, but he leaps over one man and took it inside the 10 down to the 9. And the Vikings drive continues as they have a first and goal to go at the Eagle 9. Good block right there by the veteran right tackle, Ron Yeri. He really hit somebody, and Foreman had some room to go around that right corner. He leaped over one man.
Bobby Lee Howard was on the corner there, and Yeri just put him right into the ground and enabled Foreman to leap over the prostrate Bobby Lee for the big gain.
So it's first and goal for the Vikings as Parkinson lines them up. Foreman goes in motion to the far side. Parkinson in a flat pass to Sammy White at the 10, and he's lifted and thrown down at the 6 by Herman Edwards, who played that play to perfection. There was motion as Parkinson sent Chuck Foreman to that far side and then threw right in the flat to Sammy White, who still picked up 4 yards on the play, but Herman Edwards still read it properly and put him down.
They tried a little flanker screen there, and you're right. Herman Edwards did a good job. He had to fight off a blocker and then get in there and make the hit. Vikes did get 3 yards or 4 yards.
Vikings got close a week ago a couple of times against the Packers, but that Green Bay defense held. Let's see if the Eagles can do the same. On second down, play action by Tarkenton. Lost the pass in the air, in and out of the hands, incomplete. Intended for Ricky Young over on the far side. Tarkenton had him. He had beaten his man, Randy Logan. The ball went in and out of his hands. The Vikings had all but 6 points right there, but Ricky Young could not hold on. Good play action. Excellent execution by Francis.
And some poor defense by the Eagles. You've got to stay with Ricky Young every place he goes. He has caught 74 passes coming into this game. You know, Tarkenton goes with him a great deal, and that time nobody picked Ricky Young up, and had he caught that ball, it was 6.
Tarkenton had the ball in his hand. It's a third down and goal to go. They're at the 5-yard line. Just one running back. That's Chuck Foreman. Everybody else split. Tarkenton dropping, looking, going for the deep corner. Touchdown, Sammy White. Tarkenton, on a bit of play action, dropped straight back and found Sammy White alone in the end zone in the far corner for a Minnesota touchdown. The Vikings are on the board.
Sammy White ran a post corner that time, cut toward the goal post, and then took it back outside toward the corner. The Eagles were in their nickel defense, and John Sharrow was reading that, but was in bad position. Sammy White had the outside all to himself, and Tarkenton laid it right in there.
And now Rick Danmeyer will try to make it 7-0 as he lines up for the extra point. The ball is spotted, it's up, and it's good. So we have a timeout on the field with the score. The Vikings 7, the Eagles nothing.
For 37, going Catfield.
We're less than 3 minutes into this football game, and the Vikings are leading the Eagles 7-0. Fran Tarkenton made it actually look easy that time as he took them downfield with a couple of great passes and a few running plays that did not amount to much, but he set it up well and eventually passed to Sammy White for the score. Now Danmeyer kicks off. Campfield to the far side for the Eagles, Jamona to the near side. The kickoff is high and is taken by Jamona at the 5, 10, 15, 20. On his feet at the 25, spins to the 26, and down under a rush of purple shirts goes Louis Jamona. Making the tackle for the Vikings was Tom Hannon. So now let's see what the Eagles can do. A 21-yard kickoff return by Louis Jamona. One of the Eagles' biggest problems this year has been putting points on the scoreboard in the first quarter. Collectively, throughout the first 13 games, they have scored just 14 first-quarter points. Now they're behind 7-0 already. Jaworski lines them up, and he splits his running back. Mike Hogan to the near side. Wilbur Montgomery to the far side. The wide receivers are split. Charlie Smith to the near side. Carmichael to the far side. Jaworski on a long count on first down. He turns inside to Wilbur Montgomery, who comes across the 30, up to the 35, to the 36. Wilbur Montgomery in a good burst right there before he is stopped by Phil Wise.
Right up the middle of that Viking defense, and that Viking forward wall ranks 14th against the rush in the NFC. Everybody, it seems, has been running on them and running right up the middle.
Some very good blocks right there by Guy Morris and Woody Peoples, and Wilbur was off and going for an 8-yard gain. Second down and 2 as this time Jaworski set both wide receivers to the far side. Carmichael in the slot. Outside of him is Charlie Smith. Jaworski hands off inside. Big hole for Mike Hogan as he comes right up the middle and picks up yardage to the 44-yard line before he is stopped by Tom Hannon. Good opening block by Guy Morris and Tom Lucan, and the Eagles' second consecutive 8-yard gain.
Nothing fancy on that play at all, just a straight handoff to Mike Hogan, and he ran right into daylight.
8 yards of burst for the Eagles' opening 2 offensive plays. This time they split the wide receivers. The ball is at the Eagles' 44-yard line. 10:53 remaining in the first quarter. Vikings up 7-0. Jaworski on play action. Looks left. Going long down the left sideline. Has Carmichael at the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Jaworski on play action. Had Carmichael open on the left side. He had beaten his man. He outran Bobby Bryant. Put the pass right in his gut and ran the remaining 15 yards. A 56-yard touchdown pass. Ron Jaworski to Harold Carmichael. There's another $100 a point from Frito-Lay for the Eagles Fly for Leukemia Fund.
Tom Hannon, the free safety there, the only guy with a chance, took a swat at the football, hoping to knock it down and missed it, and he went sailing right out of bounds, lost his footing. Harold Carmichael caught the ball and had nothing but clear sailing. This is so uncharacteristic of the Eagles. 7-7 already here.
All right, here's the extra point, and it's up, and it's good. There's a timeout on the field with the score 7-7. We have a 7-7 game here in Bloomington, Minnesota. Kicking off for the Eagles, Mike Michel. Deep for the Vikings, Kevin Miller to the middle, Harry Washington to the far side, and Robert Miller to the near side. So the bomb did it. 56-yard touchdown pass. Ron Jaworski to Harold Carmichael. Here is the whistle, and here is the kickoff. It is high, but it is short. And it is taken by Harry Washington at the 20. Washington to the 25, up to the 30, and up to the 35-yard line. So again, the Vikings will get decent field position.
Again, Mike Michelle kicking into a swirling type wind here and not getting very much on it. And the Vikes are again outside their own 30-yard line. Excellent field position for them.
That's the thing. You have got to contain them on these kickoff returns. And it didn't happen right there the first time they took over at their 37-yard line, and Parkinson went to work in the air, and this time they will take over at the 35-yard line. A 7-7 game, though, as Jaworski threw a perfect strike to Harold Carmichael. This time, Parkinson leads them up again with only one man in the backfield. Play action. He wants to throw. He goes with the bomb down the near side to Rashad, who drops it. Rashad had it, and they're going to throw the flag and call pass interference. Pass interference is going to be thrown against Herman Edwards. The ball was in the air, and I got the feeling, looking at it, that Herman Edwards had hit Rashad. Nothing was called at that moment. Then, a second or two later, the ball came down, hit Rashad in the hands, and then Herman Edwards cleanly hit Rashad. But the pass interference, I think, Jim, will be called actually before the touching of the football took place.
Number 46, defense, first down.
Kind of an act of desperation that time by Herman Edwards. He was beaten by Rashad. Rashad had about 5 yards on him and was in position to catch the ball and take it in all the way. Lots of fireworks here early.
39-yard game right there, but the flag went down. It was a late flag. He took his time throwing that flag. Did not throw it, actually, until the ball had been missed. All right, first down for the Vikings. They're at the Eagle 25. Hand off to Chuck Foreman, who comes off right tackle, picks up maybe 2 or 3 yards before Carl Hairston and Frank Lemaster makes the stop. But he is close to the Eagle 20.
All right, here's some scores. Merle, the Los Angeles Rams 10, and the New York Giants 7 in the second period. The Cincinnati Bengals 10, Atlanta 7 in the second period. San Francisco 3, New Orleans nothing in the first period. Miami 6, Washington nothing in the second period.
Second down and 6. The Eagles, though, they have to tighten that pass defense. That is the area that Fran Parkinson is taking advantages of right now. He wants to throw again. Fires to the near side. Complete to Rashad, who steps away from one man at the 15 and goes down at the 13, but he has another first down. Rashad did a good job right there. Went up between Herman Edwards and John Shara and took the pass that was thrown high, came down, faked around one man and went forward inside the 15. He has another Viking first down. So we're seeing a lot of movement offensively so far today.
And the Eagles knew that very play was coming. Herman Edwards gambled for the interception, almost got it. The ball was thrown quite high, and Rashad is excellent at going up in the air and coming down with a football. He did score a touchdown in that manner against the Packers last week.
Yes, he did. 8-yard gain, so it's a 1st and 10 for the Vikings. They're at the Eagle 14. Again, it is Foreman, the lone setback. A pass in the flat. It goes out to Foreman, who takes it and dives forward close to the 10-yard line. Foreman comes out and takes that pass in the flat. Took it at the 16, and he moved down to the 11-yard line before Bobby Lee Howard made the stop. But a pickup on the play of about 4 yards. Ball just at about the 11-yard line. Parkinson putting the ball in the air. People here in Minnesota could not understand why a week ago he tried to run so much. Going into that final moment against the Green Bay Packers, Parkinson had thrown but 22 times, had run the ball a lot, but today he is going to the air. He's back. He's looking. Fires over the middle. The pass is complete to Bob Tucker at the 10-yard line, but a flag goes back. Flag goes down back at about the 16.
Vikings are going to get called for a holding penalty here. That flag tossed right into the pocket. Vikings now starting to back up.
Parkinson not playing at all much with the run. The footing is very, very slippery, and we can almost put the same things on the passing as we could about the running last week in St. Louis, about the advantages of say and no gray. When you are out there, when your receiver makes his moves, the defensive back has to wait and see which way he is going and has a tough time getting balance.
Number 73, offense, still second down.
The holding penalty is against Ron Yary, and they move the football back to the 21-yard line, and now it'll be a second down and 19. Ken Clark and Lem Burnham come in the game to give the Eagles better pass rush. Carl Hairston moves over to the left side. The reason for that is when he's on the left side, he's left-handed. He gets his left hand down and can't see the football from the right side. So this way he's on the left side. He has a clear view at the ball and can charge on the snap. Parkinson retreats. Looking, flips a little pass over to Ricky Young, who takes it at the 15, and Ricky Young goes down inside the 10. Frank Lemaster and Bobby Howard make the stop, but Francis backed up. He gave it the long look down the center of the field, and then threw to Ricky Young coming out of the backfield. That little flip pass, and Ricky Young took it all the way down to the 9-yard line. It brings up a 3rd down and 6 for the Vikings. We have a 7-7 ball game. We have 7:54 remaining here in the first quarter in Bloomington. Parkinson got the Eagles the first time as he pulled them on play action and went to Sammy White. Jaworski came right back to Carmichael. Now Parkinson, the throw, looks for the center, fires, touchdown again, Sammy White. This time right down the middle as Sammy White ran the post pattern and Bobby Lee Howard could not catch him. Parkinson just took 2 steps back, fired over the middle, complete for the touchdown to Sammy White, and the Vikings take the lead.
That wasn't even a particularly hard-thrown football. Kind of fluttered up there, and you don't see passes completed like that down the middle very often, but the Eagles were just caught out of position, and Sammy White had open territory, ran toward it, and Fred Tarkenton found him.
And Dan Meyer is in to attempt the extra point out of a hole by Paul Krause. Well, I'll tell you, Tarkenton may not have the rifle, but he gets the job done. Here is the extra point. It is partially blocked, but it does get through. I think somebody got their hands on it, but it kept on going, and it does get through. So there's a timeout on the field with the score. The Vikings 14, the Eagles 7. Back at Metropolitan Stadium, we have a 14-7 game. The Vikings on top of the Eagles with 7:37 remaining in an action-packed first quarter. A lot of offense. A lot of footballs being put in the air. Dan Meyer to kick off to the far side for the Eagles as Billy Campfield to the near side. Louis Jamona. Here is the kickoff. Coming up and taking it is Campfield at the 5 to the 10, 15, 20. Campfield hits across the 25 and goes down at about the 26 or 27. And it is Tom Hannon making the stop. So it is from the 27-yard line, a 20-yard kickoff return by Billy Campfield, for which Jaworski will line up the offense and try to go back to work. Eagles looked early on their first 2 running plays. They handed the ball off, one to Montgomery, and he went for 8. The second time it went off to Hogan, he went for 8. And then came the 56-yard strike to Harold Carmichael. So far, the Eagles in 3 offensive plays have done well, but they're down 14-7. Jaworski lines them up and sends both wide receivers to the far side. Starts his running backs in the eye. Shows motion to the near side. It's coming across is Charlie Smith. Handoff goes off the left side to Wilbur Montgomery, who comes up across the 30-yard line up to about the 31.
You know, that excitement of Harold Carmichael's TD pass a few moments ago, that was the 94th straight game in which he has caught a pass, and he has now moved into 3rd place on the all-time list. He went by Don Hudson. 96, Lance Allworth, the next milestone.
Well, we may see Jaworski go to him a lot this afternoon. Bobby Bryant could have some trouble back there in the corner. Just trouble getting the footing. Carmichael this time out to the far side. Charlie Smith in the slot to the left. The running backs are split. 2nd down and 6. Handoff goes inside to Hogan, and he gets very little as he comes across the 30, and then the Vikings throw him back. Led by Doug Sutherland, 9-year veteran out of Superior State in Wisconsin, and Matt Blair, the left linebacker. So not much right there. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 4 for the Eagles. We have 6 minutes and 41 seconds remaining to be played here in the first quarter. Minnesota with more points today already than they scored all last week in that 10-10 game against the Packers. The Vikings go to the nickel defense as they put in the extra defensive back. 3rd down and 4 for the Birds. They split the running back, split the wide receivers. Carmichael to the far side, Smith to the near side. Jaworski straight back, setting, looking, fires over the middle, completes to Rich Osborne, but he is shy of the first down at the 35. Jaworski split everybody out, and then in that little crossing pattern through to his tight end, Rich Osborne, who picked up only 2 yards, and the Eagles will have to punt.
Any Don Hudson fans out there, I apologize. Don has 95 straight, and I beg your pardon, Harold Carmichael has not gone into 3rd place. He is 94 straight, Don Hudson 95.
The lone deep man for the Minnesota Vikings is Kevin Miller. He will await the Mike Michel punt at his own 28-yard line. The snap by Dennis Franks. Michel gets it off. It is high, and it is a good punt. That is taken by Miller. It is 25. Tries to get away from one Eagle. Rolls to the near side of the field. To the 25. He's finally hemmed in at the 30 and dropped at the 32-yard line. Kevin Miller did an awful lot of running that time, but most of it was lateral, and one Eagle appears to be hurt. I believe it is Rich Osborne was the man who made the stop at the 32-yard line, but there is an injured Eagle on the play. There is a timeout on the field with the score. The Vikings 14, the Eagles 7.
Of all imported pickup trucks, guess which one is numero uno? You guessed it. Datsun. The small pickups, Datsun invented them. Datsun perfected them. Number one for 19 straight years. The Datsun Stretch, with an enormous bed over 7 feet long. The Datsun King Cab, only pickup with reclining bucket seats and up to 11 cubic feet of storage space inside the cab. The Datsun pickups, number one for 19 years. Why? We work at it as hard as our trucks. We are living. See and drive America's number one pickups at your Datsun dealer.
Dennis Franks is the injured Eagle. He is getting up down. He's walking off the field. Right now, that's paused 10 seconds for station identification.
Tim Garland plays your songs. WIP News, Merle, Reese Sports, the Go Patrol, and the exclusive Finkel forecast. 6 to 10 a.m. on 610 WIP, Philadelphia.
Dennis Franks is walking off the field with Eagles trainers Otto Davis and Ron O'Neill, and he apparently is all right. He's walking off under his own power, and he has no limp, so apparently he just had the wind knocked out of him. The Eagles secondary has had the wind knocked out of them so far by the Vikings air game. Tarkenton lines them up on a first down and wants to throw again. Fires over the middle. Completes the pass to Chuck Foreman, who takes it and goes down shy of the 40, up at about the 38-yard line, under a tackle by Bill Berge. But so far, Tarkenton has been throwing at will. He's been moving the ball very well through the air against the Eagles, and that's why the Vikings are on top 14-7.
He's mixing up the way he's throwing, too. Sometimes he's rolling out, sometimes he's dropping straight back, sometimes he's working off a play-action sequence. So those linebackers really don't know what to expect at this point.
Using every part of the field. This time he puts Sammy White in motion to the far side. Fakes and play action. Tarkenton back. Looking down the far side, fires the pass, incomplete. Intended for Sammy White up at midfield, and it is batted away by Bobby Lee Howard, who that time timed things perfectly and cut in front of Sammy White and got his hands on the football, so incomplete. Tarkenton on the afternoon has put the ball up 11 times and completed 9 of those for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. We told you about Tarkenton and the records that he is closing in on completion-wise. The man in the NFL who has completed the most in one season is Sonny Jurgensen, 288. Going into this game, Tarkenton had completed 274. It is a third down and 3 for the Vikings at their own 38. Tarkenton again shows play action. Looks right, looks left. He's being chased by 3 or 4 Eagles. Finally flips the pass away, and let's see, they do not throw a flag. The Eagles are yelling. The Eagles are screaming that there was intentional grounding as Tarkenton was running right and running left and finding nobody. Reggie Wilkes was in hot pursuit, but Tarkenton somehow managed to get enough balance to throw the ball forward in the zone of somebody, and he gets out of that danger, and now the Vikings will have to punt.
Well, they had him back there 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and you're right. Somehow Fran Tarkenton got that ball airborne, and there was a Viking coming back into the pattern who was reasonably close, and the veteran gets away with one.
And now the Vikings will punt. Greg Coleman, their punter in the ball game. He will await the snap on his own 25. John Sharrow, the deep man for the Eagles. Eagles want to move that football again. It's a low snap, but Coleman gets it and punts it away. It's low, and it hits at the 30 and takes a bounce to the Eagles 25, at which point it goes out of bounds. So the Eagles will take over first and 10 at their own 25 or 26-yard line. And at least that time, Jim, the defense showed the pass rush, and I think that's encouraging. When they had Francis back there, they were not able to sack him. They almost did. I thought Reggie Wilkes had him by the jersey momentarily, but he did escape. A 35-yard punt that time by Greg Coleman. First and 10 for the Eagles. They trail the Vikings 14-7. We're in the first quarter here in Bloomington on a snowy day. 4:28 remaining in the quarter. Jaworski lines them up and puts Harold Carmichael out to the far side. In the slot is Charlie Smith. He saw the game, did well, scored a touchdown a week ago in St. Louis. The running backs are in the eye. Smith comes in motion to the near side on first down. Jaworski hands off to Montgomery on first down, and Wilbur comes across the 25 up to about the 27, and then he is surrounded by a group of purple jerseys once again and thrown back. Tom Hannon was the man who hit him. But, Jim, you can see it right now that the Vikings are doing the old gang tackling routine. You don't see them going down. You don't see an Eagle hit by one man, but you see 3 or 4 Viking jerseys just surrounding him. A pickup of only 1 yard on the carry by Wilbert. So it's second down and 9. Smith comes wide to the near side. Carmichael to the far side. Running backs start out in the eye. Rich Osborne, the tight end, strong to the right. Jaworski looks over that Viking defense. Rich Reese, set, pumps one. Big rush. Going to be buried. They grab him and they sack him back at the 15-yard line. Merle Eller. Jaworski tried his darndest to get under the rush. And now an official is going to throw a flag up at the 36-yard line. An official threw a flag way after the play, and let's see what happens right here.
Well, the play was designed to go long to Rich Osborne, and he might be complaining that there was a little bumping going on down there. And all of a sudden, the referee comes along and throws a flag. Now, I don't know whether that's going to be a flag on the linebacker, number 59, who's out there covering, or whether it's Rich Osborne who was complaining.
Well, Matt Blair is coming over and speaking to the official. The flag came, as Jim pointed out, way after the play. They came up and threw it, but now they are marching in the Vikings' direction. So instead of a sack, move the football all the way up, across the 30, up to the 32-yard line.
Illegal contact. Defense. First down.
Well, as you can hear right there, illegal contact on the Minnesota defense. Matt Blair is the culprit. And the Eagles have a first down instead of being thrown for a big loss right there. They have a first down, a big break for the Eagles. They have the ball across the 30 up at the 31. This time both wide receivers come to the near side. The back shift out of the eye. Hogan left. Montgomery right. Jaworski gives to Montgomery, who tries to come off left tackle with little success. Only a couple before Bobby Bryant stops him. So the Minnesota defense, not one of the better defenses against stopping the run, playing well in that regard now.
Well, they're very active right now, the linebackers particularly, and you've got a real fast set of linebackers here. McNeil, Seaman, Blair, all very fast.
Wilbert picked only 2 yards that time. That was it. First couple of times he touched the ball, 8-yard gains, but now the Minnesota defense is tightened against the run. It's a second down and 8 for the Eagles. The ball on their own 33. Wide receiver split. Jaworski back. Rolling to his right. Fires the pass off to Hogan, who cannot hold on. Incomplete in the flat. He was being rushed by Carl Eller. Jaworski did his darndest to get away from Eller, and at the last second, rather than go down, saw Mike Hogan out of the corner of his right eye and flipped the pass off to him. But the pass was incomplete. It went off of Hogan's hands, incomplete. And now the Minnesota defense will come up with their nickel coverage, 5 defensive backs. Jaworski has thrown 3 passes so far this afternoon, completed 2 of them for a total of 58 yards, 56 of them coming on 1 scoring strike to Howard Carmichael. It is third down and 8. The Eagles go with 3 wide receivers. The backs in the eye. Now they shift out of it. They're in an open set as Jaworski takes a long look. He drops back, setting, looking, still looking. Going on a little flip to Hogan at the 40. Hogan away from one man, falls forward up to about the 44-yard line. Mike Hogan did a good job, and he gets the first down. First down for the Eagles. He had to get to about the 42, and he was hit at that 42, but he just propelled his body forward, picked up the additional 2 yards, and has a first down, a pickup of 10.
Good job by Ron Jaworski, too. He had to duck under the blitz there and then set up again and look for somebody in the open, found Mike Hogan, and Mike did an excellent job after his hit of lunging forward for the first down. He did not have the first down. Had the tackler so wise been able to make a clean hit there.
2 minutes and 16 seconds remaining in an action-packed first quarter from an offensive standpoint. Vikings up 14-7. Eagles with a first and 10. The ball at their 42. Smith in motion to the far side. Jaworski on play action. Set. Fires down the right side. Complete to Osborne at the Viking 30. Out of bounds he goes. But Jaworski on outstanding play action again. Rolled to his right. Found Rich Osborne down that right sideline. Hit him with a bullet. And now the Eagles move deep into Viking territory at the 30. Great play.
Great play by Rich Osborne. That's the same play last week that he turned into a near touchdown against the St. Louis Cardinals. This one was not run quite as deep. what happens there, that secondary really reacts to Harold Carmichael, and they follow him into the short zone, and then Rich Osborne cuts in behind him.
Talk about the value of Harold Carmichael. It is more than just his pass-catching ability, and he made that thing work. He did. First and 10 for the Eagles. The ball just outside the Vikings 30. Both wide receivers to the far side. Jaworski to Montgomery on a sweep right. Montgomery at the 30. Montgomery falls forward to the Vikings 24 and leans forward to the 23. Wilbert Montgomery carrying the ball on a sweep right. He picked up about 5 or 6 right there. Carl Eller made the stop, but Carl Eller, old Carl Eller, 15 years in the league out of the University of Minnesota, but he is still in there mixing it up, and he is still one of the better defensive ends in the National Football League. A pickup, give Wilbert 5 yards on that. They spot the football just at the 25-yard line. 2nd and 5 for the Birds as they split their wide receivers. The running back shift down to the eye. Hogan right, Montgomery left. 2nd and 5. Jaworski on a delay, gives to Hogan. Hogan hits across the 25 and skips down to the 22. There was a bit of hesitation after Hogan caught the football, took the football on the delay, and instead of coming right off the left tackle, he appeared to be spinning his wheels momentarily, but picked up 3 nevertheless.
Some games of importance. Cincinnati 10 and Atlanta 7. They're in the 3rd period. Miami 6 and Washington nothing. They're also in the 3rd period. 17 for Green Bay, 7 for Tampa, also in the 3rd.
We're in the final 12 seconds of the first quarter. And now the Eagles will go with 2 tight ends as they bring Bill Larson in. Harold Carmichael lines up as a wing right. The running backs are split on the 3rd down and 2. Jaworski to Montgomery off left tackle. He has the first down across the 20 and down to the 18. So Montgomery right there.
An Eagle first down.
A pickup of 5 yards and an Eagle first down. Clock now shows 19 seconds, so they apparently reset it. Had 12 on the clock momentarily and then went back to 22. And now it's down to 12, and that is perhaps the last play of the first quarter. Vikings leading the Eagles 14-7, but the Eagles driving right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he won't get it off. There's the gun, ending the first quarter. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Vikings 14, the Eagles 7.
Oh, it's you again.
Yes, so wise one. I come seeking answers to questions.
Back in Bloomington, where the Vikings lead the Eagles after one quarter, 14-7. But the Eagles are certainly driving. They have a first down at the Viking 18-yard line, 17.5-yard line. And we've probably seen as much offense right there in the first quarter by the Eagles as we have all season.
Absolutely, and defensively, it was good to see the Eagles put a stop to Fran Tarkin. He came out the first 2 series and just was totally unstoppable without any deal of pressure whatsoever from the Eagles linebackers or front 3 linemen. And he just went right down the field untouched with that offense. And that was real problems there until the Eagles finally put a little heat on him there that 3rd series.
That's what I said on the pregame show when we were speaking about Tarkenton. He said this could be his last game before the home crowd here in Minnesota, that he may retire, but he seems to retire and unretire depending on the fate of each game. 1st and 10 for the Eagles. They have the ball at the Vikings 17. The wide receivers are split. The running backs in an open set. As Jaworski turns, fires into that right pass flat to Carmichael at the 20. Carmichael tries to muscle away from a man, but he is knocked back. So Carmichael only gets back to the original line of scrimmage as Jaworski fakes off inside and then threw that screen pass out to Harold Carmichael, but he could only get back to the line of scrimmage before Matt Blair locked him and just knocked them back a few yards. So no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Matt Blair just beat the blockers that time, pushed them out of the way, and got his clamps on Harold Carmichael. Good blocking was out there. 2 men in front of Harold. He had room if he could make the move, but Blair just got in there and boxed up the play.
Also some help by Mark Mullaney. It is 2nd down and 10 for the Eagles. The ball on the Vikings 17. The wide receivers are split. The running backs are split. So continuing to fall here in Bloomington as Jaworski on play action rolls to his right. Still rolling. Looking, being chased and knocked out of bounds at the 20. Mark Mullaney pursued all the way as Jaworski tried to roll out to the far side and looked for Carmichael in the end zone. He was well covered, and then Jaworski just trying to pick up whatever yards he could. But the Vikings had him countered, Mark Mullaney and Matt Blair, and out of bounds he goes, a loss of about 4.
Rich Osborne was the number 1 receiver in that pattern, but he was just held up at the line of scrimmage. He couldn't get over into that area in time.
Vikings will go into the nickel coverage right now. Into the game comes their 5th defensive back, and the Eagles will throw 3 wide receivers at the Vikes. Smith and Kenny Payne now comes in the game along with Harold Carmichael. An important 3rd down and 14. The wide receivers, Carmichael out by himself to the far side. Payne and Smith to the near side as Jaworski retreats. Goes deep, looking for Carmichael in the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles! Jaworski on play action again, fakes the handoff, dropped back, saw Carmichael in the far corner of the end zone, and just fired the ball above the outstretched arms of Matt Wright. 21-yard touchdown pass. Jaworski and his favorite target, Harold Carmichael, combine again. There's another $100 a point from Frito-Lay for the Eagles' Fly for Leukemia Fund.
And credit the Eagle blockers for that play. A safety blitz on that time by the Vikings was picked up. There was not even man-to-man coverage in the secondary.
Here's the try for the extra point. Michelle in the ball game. It's spotted. It's drilled. It's no good, but there is a flag on the play. There is a flag on the play. There seem to be problems with the exchange, and it's against the Vikings. The Vikings are offside. So the Eagles get a break right there, but I say a break. Perhaps, Jim, I shouldn't use that word because I think it is the Vikings offside that shoved the Eagles center on that play. Guy Morris, the ball never got there properly.
Defense. One more try.
On that last touchdown pass, the Vikings only had 2 men guarding against the deep pass that time. The Eagles had 2 receivers and 3 receivers actually in the pattern.
Had some great blocking on that play by Hogan and Montgomery. All right, here's the repeat of the extra point. This time it's spotted, and it's drilled up, but this time it is good by Michelle. And so there's a timeout on the field with the score, 14-14.
In 1969, Jackie Stewart won his first World Racing Drivers' Championship. He repeated in 1971, then again in 1973. What Jackie Stewart doesn't know about cars hasn't been written.
I do know that cars just don't perform the way they used to. One of the reasons is the unleaded gasoline that the new engines call for. Unfortunately, most unleadeds don't have the power that gasoline used to have. Well, Getty Unleaded Regular does. It delivers the kind of power you got from gasoline before they took the lead out. Getty Unleaded Regular actually delivers more power than most other major unleadeds. As an ex-racing driver, that appeals to me. And while Getty Unleaded Regular delivers more power, it costs less than most other major unleadeds. I don't know how Getty does it. But as a Scotsman, that really appeals to me.
Getty Unleaded Regular. More power for less money.
We've got a cold day here, but we've got a hot football game. Here we are in the second quarter. It is 14-14. Both Parkinson and Jaworski with a couple of touchdown passes to their favorite wide receivers. Parkinson went to Sammy White twice, and Jaworski did the same to Harold Carmichael. Kicking off is Mike Michelle, and deep for the Vikings. To the middle is Kevin Miller. To the far side is Harry Washington, and to the near side is Robert Miller. So a couple of Millers and Harry Washington back there. A 5-yard penalty is being assessed against the Vikings, who were offsides again on the extra point. So Michelle kicks off from the 40. It is high and not particularly deep. Taken by Robert Miller at the 10, to the 15, to the 20, and across the 25 up to the 26 to 27 before Billy Campfield makes the stop. So that time, Jim, it wasn't a matter of great distance by Mike Michelle on the kickoff, but he did get the ball high into the air to give the special teamers a chance to get down there and contain the Vikings, not let them get up to the 35 or 36.
Also got it into the hands of Robert Miller, who is not nearly as agile and as quick as the deep backs, and he was unable to get as much yardage upfield.
Number 38, kicking team, 5-yard penalty, kick again.
Well, as you can hear, there is an offside this time against Larry Barnes of the Eagles, one of the special teamers, and they're going to move it back. So now he'll kick off from the 35, where he would have under normal circumstances in the first place. Vikings like to take the chances. Setting it up with Kevin Miller, he'll be the man in the middle. Then to the far side is Robert Miller, and to the near side is Harry Washington. 16-yard return that time, and the Vikings would try to do better. We have 13-28 remaining in the first half, a 14-14 ball game. We have seen the ball put in the air a lot. Parkinson and Jaworski both showing an awful lot early. Big football game, but you know all about the importance of it. Now there's a discussion between Mike Michelle and the official. Now Michelle picks up the football and had started to move back to the 30, but now puts it down and adjusts it on the tee at the 35. Eagles special team is ready to go. The bomb squad. Michelle approaches the football. He hits it. It is high again, not too deep. Taken by Kevin Miller at the 15, 20, 25, 30, and he's hit hard and dropped at the 32-yard line. Good tackle right there by Dennis Franks. Franks just came up and really put him down. So he has a 17-yard return. The Vikings have a bit of better field position up at the 32, but how about Dennis that time? He was hurt the last time on a kickoff, but he comes right back in the ball game and just really cracked them.
I say Dennis really loves it. He's from Michigan, played his college ball at the University of Michigan, and He was all charged up today when he saw that snow, and he came out here earlier. This is his kind of stuff.
That's right. We were standing with him on the frozen surface before the game, and he said, I love it. I love it. Can't wait to go. First and 10 for the Vikings. 13:20 remaining in the first half. Talking to the throw on first down. He backpedals. He goes left. He completes the pass to Ahmad Rashad up at the 44-yard line. Parkinson to Rashad. Frank LeMaster makes the stop, but Parkinson is showing you early that he has so many directions in which to go.
Unhesitatingly putting it up, that's for sure. Almost every first down, if I'm not mistaken, he's just backed up and let one go. Rashad, excellent route runner out there. He can find the open areas, and on first down, of course, you're playing zone defense for the most part, and Rashad knows how to find those open areas.
13-yard gain right there. This time the wide receivers are split. The ball is marked at the 44. As Parkinson hands off, there's a penalty flag down as he gives off to Ricky Young, who comes forward for a couple of yards. The penalty flag drops very early. Charlie Johnson and Dennis Harrison over to make the stop, but the penalty is going to be against the Vikings and probably an illegal procedure right here.
I guess that's why they don't run very much, Merle.
No, they're not running as well as they have in the past. They think of themselves as a passing team pretty much, although, as I said earlier, last week against the Green Bay Packers, for some reason, they seemed to think that putting the ball on the ground repeatedly was the way to do it. They'll mark the ball back to the 40.
Illegal motion, number 44, offense, still first down.
It's an illegal procedure penalty against Chuck Foreman, so it is first and 15. Spot the football at the 39-yard line. The Eagles held the Vikings the last time the Vikings went offensively, but Vikings have done well. First and 15. The football at the Vikings 39. The wide receivers are split. Foreman this time lines up as a wing left. The handoff goes inside. Now Foreman takes it and goes forward across the 42 and up to about the 43 or 44. And Carl Harrison and Bill Berge make the stop.
Miami on top of Washington 13-0 now. They're in the third period. Green Bay in the third period 17-7 over Tampa Bay. The Jets 14-0 over Baltimore in the third. Cincinnati 10 and Atlanta 7 in the third.
Pick up right there of 5 yards by Foreman. And now the Eagles will think pass as Carl Harrison moves over to left defensive end. Lem Burnham in at right defensive end. And Ken Clark replaces Charlie Johnson as the nose tackle. Parkinson to throw. Going down the middle for Bob Tucker, incomplete. It went off Tucker's hands. And was he ever hit? Randy Logan and Bill Berge just cracked him, but it was the ball was there. It hung momentarily, and it took a long time coming down. Tucker did have it in his hands, but then Logan and Berge made a sandwich.
Sort of a combination man-for-man zone there. Bill Berge, believe it or not, was in pass coverage there against Bob Tucker, and then after Bob Tucker gets a certain yardage downfield, about 10, 12 yards or so, then zone coverage comes into effect, and as that pass was arriving, so were a couple of Eagles.
When you're hit by those two, if you're hit by either one of them, you're going to feel it on Monday morning, and Tucker will sting for a while. This time he lines up strong right. The wide receivers are split on the third down and 10. Francis back, going deep down the left side, firing incomplete, intended for Rashad down at the Eagles' 20-yard line. The pass broken up by Herman Edwards and John Shara. Good defensive job right there.
Rashad had position and had some daylight out there, but the ball wasn't thrown too well. It hung up there just enough for the Eagles to react and get over. John Shara and Herman Edwards both coming in there and breaking the play up. That time just a not too well thrown football.
Reggie Wilkes perhaps getting Parkinson to release a couple of seconds early as he came barreling through. Shara will line up. He's the deep man as the Vikings will have to punt. Ray Coleman, the punter. Jim Hugh is the man who comes in to snap. Coleman stands on his own 30-yard line awaiting the snap. Gets it. It's a good snap. He gets the punt away. It is low. It is driving, and Shara backs up and takes it at his 18. Runs left to the 25, and down he goes at the 26. John Shara never really getting underway that time before Fred McNeil made the stop. A 35-yard punt and about a 7-yard return. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles 14, the Vikings 14. Merle, Reese, and Jim Barniak back at Metropolitan Stadium where the snow continues to fall. We have a 14-14 game. The Eagles have the football here in the second quarter, 11:42 remaining in the second quarter. They have a first and 10 at their own 26-yard line. Jaworski is 5 for 7, 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaworski with a splendid beginning here today, and Parkinson has opened well for the Vikings. He lines up with both wide receivers to the near side of the field. The Eagles moving from right to left. The back shift out of the split into the eye. Now in motion to the far side goes Charlie Smith. Jaworski turns, play action, has the football, still has the football, being chased, fires over to the far side, completes the pass to Rich Osborne, who takes it and goes out of bounds at about the 38. First down, Eagles. He was not the primary receiver. He was the secondary receiver, probably the third man he looked for, but Rich Osborne had cleared, and he took the pass and picked up a first down.
Mark Mullaney in at left defensive end for Carl Eller, who's leaving the field, as a matter of fact. Must have suffered some kind of injury. Mark Mullaney had good chance of really dumping Ron Jaworski then, but Ron pump faked and ducked under him and got the extra time, and there was Richie Osborne all by himself.
Good job by Jaworski and by Osborne, who had cleared away from his original pattern and just got clear. First and 10 for the Eagles. They have the ball up close to their 40. The backs in the eye. Both wide receivers over on the far side. This time the handoff goes inside to Wilbur Montgomery, who doesn't get much. He comes across the 40 up to about the 42 or 43-yard line. Right in the center of the field, Doug Sutherland makes the stop. A pickup on the play of about 3 yards by Wilbur. We have a 14-14 game. We have 11 minutes and 16 seconds remaining here in the first half. All 4 touchdowns through the air. 2 from Parkinson to Sammy White. 2 from Jaworski to Harold Carmichael. Second down and 7 for the Birds. Carmichael lines up wide to the near side. Smith to the far side. The running backs are open. This time Jaworski uses a long call. He retreats again with play action. Setting, looking, fires the pass. Incomplete. Richie Osborne was looking over his left shoulder. He tried to look back over his right shoulder, and as he turned, he lost his balance. But he was open at the Vikings 35-yard line, and there was a bit of a mix-up in communication between Jaworski or Rich Osborne, and the pass play just never clicked. But he was out there, and he was in the clear, and Jaworski just didn't hit him.
Well, I tell you, these Vikings better have a little bit more respect for Rich Osborne. They've totally ignored him here on some of these passing opportunities, and he's out there all by himself. That time the ball was in the air, and he was still running the route, and then when he looked around, there it came, almost hit him in the chest anyway.
Well, this time he comes out of the ball game as the Eagles bring in Ken Payne as the third wide receiver. Payne lines up to the near side. In the slot to that left is Charlie Smith. The Vikings employ the nickel defense. Vikings almost jump off sides. Jaworski backs up, gives ground, being chased, close to football, incomplete. Carmichael was down there at the 40, the ball thrown way out of bounds, and it may just be that Jaworski that time was trying to get rid of the football as he was really being rushed by Jim Marshall right in there on Jaworski, and he just really never had time to plant the feet that time and threw to Harold Carmichael or in his direction and then floated it actually out of bounds. Eagles will have to punt. Standing back in punt formation is Mike Michel. Kevin Miller is the deep man for the Vikings. He will await Michel's punt at his 22. It's a high snap, but it's handled. Michel gets it away. It's high. It floats. Fair catch, and the punt is taken by Miller at the 20-yard line. So again, a good job by Mike Michel, who hits the cloud and causes a fair catch. A 36-yard punt. Not great distance, but no run back. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
When the Eagles aren't playing, we're playing the best of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. 610 WIP, Metro Media Radio, Philadelphia. We play your songs.
Vikings have the football, and now they try to get to work. But I think, Jim, we have to feel a bit more encouraged after the past few defensive series by the Eagles. They had a lot of problems early as Tarkenton really picked that secondary apart. But in their last couple of series, they've adjusted.
Of course, what they like to do, too, right here is force some kind of turnover. This is the deepest the Vikings have been in their own territory. They've been operating with great field position outside the 30-yard line for the most part. They're right at the 21 right now, setting up. The Eagles love, of course, to force some kind of turnover. And when you throw the ball as much as Fran Tarkenton throws it, you're going to have to throw an interception once in a while. He's thrown a great deal in his career, 260 as a matter of fact. That's a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, well, he's had his share of interceptions this year, as a matter of fact. He has been intercepted 22 times. Last week against the Packers, he threw 4 of them, which hurt. So perhaps the Eagles can pick off one of these wobblers. Tarkenton has thrown well, but he does not have the rifle arm to get the ball there on a line, and that kind of pass sometimes leads itself to being intercepted. Let's see what happens. This time he sets both wide receivers over to the near side. In the slot is Sammy White. Outside of him is Rashad. The back's in an open set. The handoff goes inside. Good running room for Chuck Foreman, who comes off left tackle all the way up to the 30-yard line, maybe to the 31 or 32 before Frank LeMaster makes the stop. If you get the defense thinking pass enough, that's going to happen. You can give them that passing look and then open up a hole in the middle, and that's what happened is Chuck Foreman came forward for a gain of 9 yards. A second down and 1, and then they take a long look at it, and they look and say he has the 10. Makes the first down by, I guess, about the nose of the football, so a first down for the Vikings across the 30, make it the 32-yard line. First and 10 for the Vikings. We have 10-12 remaining in the first half of a 14-14 game. Wide receivers line up to the far side. The backs start out in the eye as Parkinson turns, gives off inside to Foreman that time, and he is banged right down. He is knocked down by the Eagles, who thought for a moment they had jarred the football loose, but it came after the whistle. Charlie Johnson made the stop.
That time they were a little simple draw play. They've been faking that draw and running and passing off of a pass-action sequence throughout most of this first period and early parts of the second. That time they gave it to the ball carrier. He got stacked up. There was a loose ball there, but they're going to rule it was dead.
That's exactly right. It'll be about a second down and 13, second 13 and a half. Both the wide receivers come over to the far side. Now Ricky Young comes out to the near side. The handoff again up the middle to Chuck Foreman, who cracks across the 30 and comes up to the 35 and 36. Chuck Foreman on the delay. He had Ricky Young spread out as a wide receiver on the right side. His normal wide receivers over on the left side, but the handoff went inside, and Berge finally made the stop. But there was a pickup right there at 6.
Cincinnati Bengals playing tough, 16-7 now over Atlanta, third period.
So a lot of things seem to be working out for the Eagles on the scoreboard-wise, but the most important score is right here, and they are tied with the Vikings 14-14. Now on a 3rd and 4, the Eagles get their better pass rushing team in with Ken Clark and Lem Burnham. Parkinson back, floats the pass to the far side, has a receiver, completes the pass to Ricky Young, but there is a flag down at the 40-yard line. Drew Mahalik is the man defending, who forced Young out of bounds, but there is a flag on the play.
Lem Burnham doing a little yelling down there like, hey, somebody's got a hold of me in there. And that's, I think, is going to be the call. You know, the Eagles got those mufflers on their shirts today, and they're very easy to stick your hand in there and hold the guy back.
It is against the Vikings, and Billy Werndell points out that it's against Frank Myers. So they will step off a holding penalty against the Minnesota Vikings, and instead of a first down, they will have a 3rd and long. Eagles have their best pass rushing team in there. Lem Burnham, he is the healthiest he's probably been all
number
season.
74, offense, 3rd down.
Holding penalty officially called on Frank Myers, as usual. Billy Werndell on the ball, or on the man holding the ball. 3rd down and 14. 8 minutes and 41 seconds remaining to be played here in the first half. It's 14-14. Sammy White comes out to the near side. Wrist shot out to the far side. Tucker lines up strong right. On a quick count, Parkinson rolls right, puts the ball in the air, and the pass is incomplete. It is dropped by Sammy White at the 40-yard line, and the Viking fans are furious. Bobby Lee Howard is over there, and they wanted an interference call, but that ball hung again. It hung again, and the Eagles had a chance to react.
Bobby Lee Howard did a neat little move that time. He jumped right over the back of Sammy White and came down on the other side and knocked the ball around.
So it's 8 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in this first half, and the Vikings will have to punt. Backing up in punt formation. Greg Coleman, deep for the Eagles. John Shara, he will await the punt at the 38. Jim Hugh to snap. Takes a long time now gets it off. And the punt is away. It is high and it is floating, and Shara backs up. Takes the punt at his 34, to the 35, to the 40, and John Shara is finally dropped at the 42-yard line by Jim Huff, the center. But he did a good job right there, picking up those 6 or 7 yards on the very high punt. 39-yard punt. Eric Johnson was coming that time. That was about as long a count, Jim, as I'll see for getting a punt away, but I guess that's the old trick of trying to get the defense off sides that time and pick up some additional yards. But the Eagles do take over the football. They will have it across their 40-yard line up at the 42. 1st and 10 with 8 minutes and 25 seconds remaining to be played here in the first half of a 14-14 game. And what's it look like around the rest of the league?
Okay, Green Bay 17, Tampa Bay 7 in the third. In fact, all of these were third period. Miami 13, Washington 0. Cincinnati 16, Atlanta 7. New York Jets 14, Baltimore 13. Los Angeles 10, New York Giants 7. They're all in the third. Now in the second, New Orleans 17, San Francisco 3. Buffalo and Kansas City are tied at 7-7, and St. Louis leads Detroit 7-0. Make that 10-10 now as the New York Giants at 3 points. 10-10, Rams Giants.
You know, it's interesting that this weather, as cold as it is, they've expected a high today of about 21 or 22 degrees. It's not as uncomfortable as it was last week in St. Louis, where you had that raw rain and that dampness that kind of just seeped through to your bones. Here it's just cold, but it's very dry, and it really isn't that bad for watching a football game. It's cold enough, believe me.
That's easy for you to say. I'm looking at a bunch of people sitting down here to my right who are sitting in 10 inches of snow. They did not clear the stands out. there's 10 inches of snow on the seats and on the runways between the seats, and these people are with their feet stuck right in the snow.
But they're all happy, and there are very few no-shows here in Minnesota, and the crowd is whooping it up and enjoying a good offensive show here in the first half. First and 10 for the Eagles. They have the ball at their own 42. Wide receiver split, running back split, hand up inside to Mike Hogan, who gets a block at the 45 and comes forward to the 48. Mike Hogan, as that play was contained off left tackle, he was momentarily stopped at the 42 and kept the feet churning and came across the 45 and then up to the 46 and 47 and finally ends up at the 49-yard line. Jeff Seaman makes the stop with Matt Blair. But a good gain right there by Mike Hogan. A 7-yard gain by Hogan. Fought the football with the Eagles having it at their own 49-yard line. Second down and 4. Actually a long 3. The wide receivers are split. The running backs are in an open set. The running game really not going too much. It's been all through the air. Jaworski gives off to Wilbur Montgomery, who cracks off right tackle, comes across the mid-stripe, and may get down to about the 48 or 47, and he is very close to a first down.
I think the Eagles would very much like to get their running attack going for obvious reasons, but of course when you do run the ball and eat up a lot of clock, you don't have the football in the hands of Mr. Tarkington.
They're going to bring the chains in, and just in case he does not have it, the Eagles are going to employ a two-tight end offense as they bring Bill Larson into the game and they pull Charlie Smith. They stretch the chains, and he is very, very close, but he is maybe 2 or 3 inches away from having that first down. So the Eagles will have a third down and just inches to go, and they will bring up everybody tight. Bill Larson and Rich Osborne. Now, Jim, I have seen quarterbacks in just this situation fake the obvious, which is the inside running play, and sometimes go with the bomb that can really knock the defense for a loop. Does Jaworski stay with the conventional method, or does he try to shake up the Vikings right here? He calls the signals, has Carmichael on a wing right, has the backs in an open set. Still call. The Vikings almost jump off. The handoff goes inside and plunging ahead, and he appears to have the first down as Mike Hogan. Just a quick little handoff to Mike Hogan off left tackle, and a good block by Tom Lucan. And Hogan went right over the top of Lucan, and he has the Eagle first down at the Viking 47-yard line. Tom Lucan, a very fine drive blocker. He needed a couple of inches, and he got about 1.5 yards.
Tom Lucan very quietly putting in a pretty solid year here. First he filled in for Woody Peoples, now for Wade Key, getting a lot of action and doing well.
He is doing a job. First and 10 for the Eagles. They have the ball at the Viking 47. The wide receivers are split. The running backs are split. As Jaworski goes to the long count. On a pitch left goes to Mike Hogan, who tries to turn the corner. Hogan to the 45. Hogan to the 40. And Hogan out of bounds at the Viking 38-yard line. Pushed out by Bobby Bryant. But a good block that time by little Wilbur Montgomery.
And also downfield, Harold Carmichael. He was tying up one of the secondary people there, Phil Wise, and he kept him off the play and enabled Hogan to turn the corner and get about 5 more yards. Don't underestimate that facet of Harold Carmichael's play.
Never do and never will. You look at the wide receivers in the National Football League. First of all, few of them have his size, but very, very few of them actually like to block, and Harold enjoys doing it. He thinks it's a very important part of his game, and it is. It's a first down for the Eagles. The ball now at the 36-yard line as Jaworski lines them up. Fumbles the football on the snap and then falls on it and falls forward to about the 36-yard line. So Jaworski on the second down play, I beg your pardon, had the snap fumbled and then just fell forward, and the football ends up in the possession of Jaworski and the Eagles and down at about the 36-yard line. They're going to take a measurement right here. He needed about 1.5 yards, and on the second down play, they will stretch the chains and take a look, and how about that? Jaworski picks up a first down, so he fumbled the football on the snap and then recovered it and picks up about 2 yards in the forward direction. So it's a first down. The clock continues to tick. We have 6:36 remaining in the half. It is a first and 10 for the Eagles. Spot the football at the 36-yard line, a 14-14 game. So now the Eagles making the ground game start to operate. They break from the huddle. Carmichael comes wide to the near side. Charlie Smith out to the far side. The running back in the eye. First and 10 for the Birds. They're at the Viking 36. Jaworski on a pitch right to Montgomery, who cuts inside at the 35. Montgomery at the 30. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Montgomery! There are no flags on the play, and Eagles touchdown as Wilbur Montgomery took the pitch, went to the outside, cut back inside behind, blocked by Woody Peoples and Jerry Sizemore, and ran 36 yards for the touchdown. There is another $100 a point from Frito-Lay for the Eagles' Fly for Leukemia Fund.
Boy, I'll tell you, how many times have we said what a delight it would be to see Wilbur Montgomery break in the open field because nobody's ever going to get him. That time, Wilbur just made a precise cut that faked out about 11 Vikings. They were pursuing so well that they all took themselves out of position.
Here is the extra point. The ball is spotted, and Michelle boots it up and boots it perfectly. So the Eagles now lead the Minnesota Vikings 21-14, and now it'll be the Vikings' turn to have to play come from behind. Vikings got off to a good start in this ball game, and I'll tell you, the signs were ominous for the Eagles very early when on the Vikings' first possession, it was Tarkenton to Rashad, and then Tarkenton to Sammy White for a couple, and ultimately Sammy White taking a 5-yard Tarkenton touchdown pass. But then the Eagles said, the heck with that. They came right back, and they opened with a couple of 8-yard running plays, and then Jaworski dropped back, and he spotted Harold Carmichael, and he hit him with a bullet down the left side of the field, and Harold took that for a 56-yard touchdown pass. But then it was Tarkenton's turn, and he came back and brought the Vikings downfield and culminated that drive on a 9-yard touchdown pass to Sammy White to go up 14-7. But in the second quarter, Jaworski to Carmichael for 1 touchdown. That made it 14-14, and now we just saw a 36-yard picture gallop by Wilbur Montgomery, and the Birds are up 21-14.
All right, don't underestimate the little quarterback for the Vikings. 6 minutes and 1 second left here in the second period. He can take you downfield in about 2 minutes flat. He seems, just when you think he's starting to slow down or suffer or not putting enough on the ball, he all of a sudden comes to life. Perfect example last week against the Green Bay Packers when he had a terrible 3 periods and a sensational 4th. As long as they got him back there, no amount of points are too safe, Merle.
Here's the kickoff by Michelle. It is high and not particularly deep. It is taken by Miller at the 15, Miller to the 20, up to the 24-yard line, and he is knifed down by Billy Campfield. Billy Campfield, I believe it's Louis Jamona who actually sped down and came under him. Campfield and Jamona both coming down, and Jamona actually lowering his body and getting the shoulder and knocking him off his pins.
Wilbur Montgomery, he's trying to be the Eagles' first 1,000-yard-a-year man since Steve Van Buren back in 1949. He needed 100 in this ball game. He's got 67 right now.
It's all to be a 1st and 10 for the Vikings. Spot the football at the 24-yard line. We have 5:53 remaining in the first half. Eagles up 21-14 as Tarkenton lines up the Vikes. Wide receivers split. Tarkenton throws in the right flat to Tucker, who tries to bounce away from one man. It is Rashad who fumbles the football out of bounds, and the Vikings retain possession. It is Ahmad Rashad who took the pass in that right flat, and he tried to get around 2 or 3 Eagles, fumbled the football harmlessly out of bounds. Reggie Wilkes had his arms over there around Rashad, and actually all that's 1 yard in gain.
I'll tell you, it was a pretty hairy fumble. It was in the hands of Frank LeMaster for a moment, and Frank actually fumbled it out of bounds.
Last man, of course, to control the football, though, was Rashad, and that is why the Vikings retain possession. 2nd down and 9. Out to the far side goes Rashad. Out to the near side goes Sammy White. Tucker lines up strong left. Turns, and they give the handoff to Chuck Foreman, who tries to come straight up the middle and reaches about the 28 or 29-yard line before he is thrown back by Bill Berge. Berge played a great game a week ago against the Cardinals, and he's playing very well again here this afternoon against the Vikings. He's been in on several tackles and has made a few excellent pass defensive plays. 7 tackles, Billy tells me, for Bill Berge. Vikings have themselves a 3rd down and 5 as they break from the huddle. Rashad comes out to the near side. Sammy White out to the far side. The backs in a wide set. Ricky Young to the near side, Foreman to the far side. Tarkenton dropping, retreating, throwing, almost intercepted, incomplete, intended for Ricky Young, who was his safety valve. He tried to flip the little pass to Ricky Young and almost intercepted by Randy Logan. And had Randy been able to come up with that football, it was clear sailing. Very good pressure that time by Drew Mahalik, who was in on Tarkenton, and he tried to throw the football while pedaling back. So now the Vikings will have to punt. 5:05 remaining in the half, and John Shara backs up to receive that punt to his own 32-yard line. Greg Coleman in to punt it away for the Vikings. 21-14, the Eagles lead. 5:05 remaining in the exciting first half. Here's Coleman's punt. It's low, it's driving. Shara takes it at the 36, at the 40, Shara at the 45, Shara at midfield, Shara at the Viking 49, and he's finally dropped by Fred McNeil, but John Shara, an excellent afternoon.
John Shara, not the fastest guy in the world, but he sure has a knack for finding the daylight. He's like a shrew out there. He picks a little opening and then claws into it and drives and powers his way and gets himself 7 or 8 yards.
They spot the football just into Viking territory at the 49. Mark Mullaney is in at right defensive end now, replacing Jim Marshall. Carl Eller is back in the ball game, so he's all right. He had been injured earlier.
Eagles at the Minnesota 49.
First and 10 for the Eagles. Harold Carmichael goes out to the far side. Smith in the slot. The backs are open. Now they shift into the eye with Mike Hogan, the lead blocker. Now in motion to the near side comes Charlie Smith as Jaworski turns, gives off to Montgomery, who finds running room and spins down to the 45-yard line. Jeff Seaman makes the stop, but a good run by Wilbert, who picked up 4. Again, there was a play, Jim, and how many times have we seen this season where it is all but closed up, but Wilbert has a one extra move and a spin here and a fake there, and he raced it down to the 45.
Well, the Viking defense are pursuing so well that they're vulnerable now to misdirection plays or just to the natural abilities of a Wilbert Montgomery, who can turn on a dime and go in the other direction and create his own misdirection plays.
It is a second down and 6, and they have the football at the Viking 45. Both wide receivers go out to that far side. Now in motion to the near side comes Smith. Back start out in the eye. Jaworski gives to the second man through. Montgomery bounces off a man at the 45, comes back and goes across the 40. Montgomery was stopped for no gain at the 45-yard line. He was bounced back 2 yards, cut to his right, regained his balance, and took it inside the 40 and close to another Eagle first down as he picked up 6 yards. First down, Eagles.
He looked like a bumper car on that play. You ever see those things? They crash into a wall and turn around and start going in the other direction.
Dodgem cars. That's exactly what he looked like. Wilbert Montgomery on the afternoon has 11 carries for 77 yards. That's 977 for the season. What a second year for Wilbert. First and 10 for the Eagles. The pitch left goes to Montgomery, and this time he's going to be thrown for a loss back at the 44. Fred McNeil leads the charge, and that time the Vikings had one man in their sights, number 31, and 3 or 4 guys went after him, and they throw Wilbert Montgomery for a loss of 5. Mark Mullaney and Fred McNeil and James White all converged to make the stop.
Well, the Eagles guessed wrong, I think, that time. They have been running up the middle. They tried to spring somebody to the outside, hoping that the Viking defense would be reacting to that middle fake, but not the case. The Vikings were in the perfect defense for that play.
It's a second down and 15 for the Eagles. 21-14, they lead with 3:06 remaining in the half, and they were trying to establish that ground game, but now let's see if he puts it in the air. He splits the running back, Jaworski does. Comes straight back, gives ground, fires in the flat to Montgomery, who trips over his own man, gets up at the 30 or 45 and runs down to the 40. He actually tripped over Woody Peoples in that far flat at the 48-yard line, but he knew that since he had not been stopped by the Vikings, he just got up, and he picked up 8 additional yards down inside the 40 to the 39, and a total pickup for Montgomery of about 5 on the play. So right there, inadvertently, it was Woody Peoples who did the job of bringing down Wilbert Montgomery, but Wilbert still gained yardage.
Carl Eller, he's been in the league for about 55 years, and he should know the rules a little better. Once he saw Montgomery down, he sort of applauded it rather than jump on him.
Billy Campfield comes in the ball game, replacing Wilbert. The Eagles have a third down and 10 at the Vikings 39-yard line. 3 wide receivers in the game. Jaworski back, setting, looking, going over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Harold Carmichael down at the Vikings 20-yard line. Jeff Seaman was the man who got his hands on it. So Carmichael perhaps was open momentarily, but Jeff Seaman did an excellent job of reading that play, and you're not going to find many brighter middle linebackers than Jeff Seaman. He's been around for a long time, and he plays the pass, the run, it doesn't matter which, but he plays with a lot of expertise.
Well, that ball is about 35 yards in the air, and although Harold did have some daylight, Ron Jaworski had to thread it through those linebackers, and when you're talking 35 yards and the speed that they have, it's a very difficult thing to do.
So with 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the half, the Eagles will punt the ball to the Vikings. Michel comes in the ball game deep. To receive is Kevin Miller. He stands back at his own 10-yard line. It's a high snap, but Michel handles it, gets away a short floating punt that goes down and out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. We will see specifically where they marked the football, but he did not get all of it. The punt is only about 14-yard line, a 14-yard punt. 14-yard punt, so when time is back in, the Vikings will take over on their own 25. There is the 2-minute warning. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 21-14.
Oh, we've shared the good times and the laughter after all that we've been through. No other dear will do. I'm Becker, show me style you do. I'm Becker, talk to me and you. You're so well together, me and you. And I'm Becker.
No other beer uses more costly ingredients than Barniak. The choice is far and much as important give Barniak its distinctive smooth taste. Barniak, the most expensive taste in beer. After all that we've been through, no other beer will do. Nothing less will do.
For most of this season, it has been a matter of the offense trying to get enough points, and the defense does the job for the Eagles. But today, the Eagles' offense has put 21 first-half points on the board. Now the Vikings have the football. Tarkenton back, throws over to that far side, completes the pass to Bob Tucker, who takes it shy of the 30-yard line. His tight end at about the 28 and is knocked out of bounds by Reggie Wilkes right there. But we've seen a very, very effective first-half offense by the Eagles as they have put 21 points on that board. A couple of touchdown passes to Harold Carmichael on a 36-yard Wilbur Montgomery run. We have a minute and 55 seconds remaining in this first half. The Vikings have 14 points, both touchdowns have come through the air. Tarkenton to Sammy White both times. A pickup of 3 yards on that last play. It's a 2nd down and 7. Tarkenton with the ball at the 27. He retreats. He looks. He goes deep down the middle. The pass is intercepted. It is intercepted by Bobby Lee Howard. And the Vikings are going to contend that they have their hands on the football, but no way it was intended for Sammy White. But it is Bobby Lee Howard who went into the air at the 30-yard line of the Eagles 30 and puts the ball away. Interception for Bobby Lee Howard, and for him it is his 3rd of the year.
Brand trying to throw the deep pattern, go for it all. He threw right into the coverage that time. The Eagles had double coverage downfield. Bobby Lee Howard, Randy Logan, they were all around the football, and actually any one of 3 people could have caught it.
Good job by the Eagles right there. Sammy White, what he tried to do was try to grab an additional handle on that football and say that he had possession, but the official was right on the spot to make the ruling. And now the Eagles take over 1st and 10, the ball on their own 30. The field becoming more snow-covered all the time. I have a feeling in that second half it'll be tough to see the yard markers. 1st and 10 for the Birds with just 1:43 remaining to be played. Carmichael out there on the far side with 1 man on him. The handoff goes to Wilbur Montgomery. It is not a smooth exchange, and he goes down at the line of scrimmage. That time, it was Ron Jaworski turning, giving to Wilbur Montgomery, and there was some misfooting right there. They slipped into each other, and the play went nowhere.
Boy, there was a gaping hole, too, right up the middle. Guy Morris had really cleared out a big hole, and had there not been that breakdown back in the backfield, he would have been gone.
Vikings call timeout right now as they'd like one more crack at the Eagles.
Boy, I can't believe it. There's a band setting up to play in the snow down there. It's going to take about 2 weeks to get that saxophone off that kid's lip when he gets done playing here. It's about 12 degrees down there.
Oh, are you kidding? They're such hardy people here. They're used to this. This is just a few flurries. 9, 10 inches. We can see the cars, though, in the parking lot, and everybody's here. It just appears that there are very, very few no-shows. This is their kind of football weather, Jim, and I think they're very used to it. How about checking the scoreboard?
I will. Cincinnati 23 and Atlanta 7 in the 3rd period. In the 4th period, Green Bay 17, Tampa Bay 7. Also in the 4th, Miami 16, Washington 0. Giants and Los Angeles Rams in the 4th tied at 10-10. The Jets ahead of Baltimore 21-16 in the 3rd. New Orleans 17, San Francisco 10 in the 2nd. 7-7 Buffalo, Kansas City in the 3rd, and St. Louis 7 and Detroit 0 in the 2nd. And I can't believe that kid is going to play the saxophone down there.
We have a minute and 31 seconds remaining to be played here in the first half. The Eagles on top of the Vikings 21-14. They have a 2nd down and 10, the ball at their own 30-yard line, and Carmichael lines up in that spot to the right. Charlie Smith outside of him, the back in an open set. One of the Vikings almost comes offside. Jaworski gives off to Montgomery, who turns at the 30 and goes down at the 31-yard line, but there was a flag on the play, and they may have trapped the Vikings coming offside. I believe it was Carl Eller who made the premature jump that time. So that would be a break for the Eagles, who would like to keep the ball. It is offsides against the Vikings, and Carl Eller, the Eagles would like to eat up this clock. They're not going to try anything too daring right here. Oh, they may if they have a couple of seconds and can't get into too much trouble, but they would just like to eat up these remaining 1 minute and 26 seconds on the clock and go to this locker room with a 21-14 halftime lead. See if that defense can come out there in the second half. And
offside, 81, defense,
there it is.
2nd down.
The call against Carl Eller, so it is still 2nd down, but now it is 2nd down and 5 yards. For the Vikings, 5 penalties today for 35 yards in penalties. The Eagles have been penalized twice for 44, so it is a 2nd down and 5. The football the Eagles have at their own 35-yard line. The wide receivers who split. The backs are in an open set as Jaworski wants to throw. Pumps left. Goes to Carmichael, who takes it at the Viking 40. Away from one man at the 35. Carmichael inside the 30 and down at the 26. Jaworski had everybody thinking run that time. He cleared Carmichael, who was having a magnificent afternoon, and took the football inside the Viking 30 down at the 28. First down for the Eagles, and now the Eagles call a timeout.
I'll tell you, for the most part, Harold Carmichael's getting double coverage, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's able to beat that front guy, and then he just takes the deep man, the safety one-on-one, and he beats into an open territory. And that time with a little more speed, of course, Harold is gone, but he did fake his way clear and had nothing but clear sailing in front of him, but it's a little tough for the big guy to get some traction going, and the Vikings were able to react. But Eagles in great shape now, the ball at the 26-yard line, 1:17 on the clock, and the Eagles with 2 timeouts remaining.
On the afternoon, Carmichael is just having a tremendous afternoon. He has caught 4 passes for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, so the Vikings are having their problems with Harold Carmichael this afternoon. That doesn't make them special. A lot of teams have trouble with Harold Carmichael. The Eagles have a timeout right now. We have 1:17 remaining in this first half. The Birds on top 21-14. You know, Jim, there are a lot of postseason awards. One is the one in our city, the Maxwell Club Award, where they give the Burt Bell Award to the Pro Player of the Year, the NFL Player of the Year. And I'll tell you right now that my vote is going to go to Harold Carmichael, because I can't think of anybody who has had a better season than he has.
Well, I said that the other night. You know, we looked who's the most valuable player in the National Football League this year, and he is certainly a contender.
Just can't have a better season than big number 17. First and 10 for the Eagles. The ball at the 26-yard line. The back from the eye. The wide receivers are split. Jaworski on play action. Sets up. Looks. Fires to the far side. Incomplete. Intended for Rich Osborne down at the 12. So he fakes the handoff inside. He looks down the middle. Then he tried to go to Rich Osborne, who had run an out pattern over at about the 15-yard line, but Rich just about got his hands on it. Good coverage by the strong safety Phil Wise, who stayed with Osborne step for step.
Another play-action move there by Ron Jaworski enabled him to get a great deal of time. Once you stick that ball into Wilbert Montgomery's hands and he goes 36 yards with it, they gotta respect him every time, fake or no, and that's just what's happening here.
It's a second down at 10. The clock shows 1:12 remaining, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him set them up for the pass and go back to Montgomery once again. Second down and 10 for the Eagles. Carmichael out to the near side this time. Smith out to the far side. Osborne strong right. Jaworski on play action. Setting. Going over the middle. Complete to Charlie Smith, who takes it in for a touchdown. Jaworski to Charlie Smith on a post pattern. He drilled it over the middle. Smith took it at the 5. He was hit at the 3 and went in. He beat Matt Wright for a touchdown. Nate Wright beaten on a 27-yard pass. Jaworski to Charlie Smith, and there is another $100 a point from Frito-Lay for the Eagles' Fly for Leukemia Fund.
All right, there's the case of Charlie Smith being ignored the entire first half, and then you go to him. Bad tackling also by the Vikings that time. Here's the extra point attempt.
Yeah, they could have stopped them at about the 5, but a good job by Charlie. Bad tackle by the Vikings. Here's the extra point, and it is blocked. It is no good, as the Vikings got in there and blocked the football. It was blocked by John Turner. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. So the Vikings come in there and block the attempt for the extra point. And the score is the Eagles 27 and the Vikings 14. 27-14. So the Vikings can come back and take the lead with 2 touchdowns. But the Eagles defense will sit around at halftime and listen to Coach Marion Campbell outlining some ways, and Chuck Lawson, the defensive line coach, and Fred Brody, who coaches the secondary, and these kind of people are going to try to stop any kind of Viking explosion in the second half. Eagles offense is explosive as it's been all season. Not as explosive, more explosive than it's been all season. 3 touchdown passes today for Ron Jaworski, 2 to Harold Carmichael, 1 to Charlie Smith, and a 36-yard run by Wilbert Montgomery. Mike Michelle will kick off deep for the Vikings. In the middle, Kevin Miller. To the far side is Robert Miller, and to the near side, Harry Washington. Clock showing 1:05 remaining to be played here in the first half. Michelle kicks the football. It is low. It is not too deep. It is going to bounce at the 15, roll to the 10, and go out of bounds at the 4. So they will bring this football back, attach a 5-yard penalty, and kick it off all over again.
Kickoff out of bounds, 5 yards, re-kick.
The field now is taking on a little bit of a glaze. about I guess maybe an inch or two of snow has fallen since the game started, and the field is heated, and it doesn't absorb the snow, or at least it doesn't lay on the grass. But by this time, though, there's a bit of a glaze forming, and I'm wondering if that isn't giving Mike Michelle a little trouble as he approaches that football.
I'm sure it is, because as you take that last plant of the foot, you have to have some kind of traction, and he just is not getting the traction right there. He's approaching the football almost tentatively. So now they'll move it back to the 30-yard line, and the Eagles' bomb squad will try to prevent any kind of damaging return by the Vikings here in the last minute and 5 seconds of the half. Eagles on top of the Vikings, 27-14. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the receivers do have an advantage. As difficult as that field is for them, it is more difficult for the guys covering them. The defensive backs cannot plant, and the offensive receivers are taking advantage of it this afternoon. Here's Michelle's kickoff. It is low, and again it heads out of bounds at the Viking 35-yard line. So they'll move it back, and Mike Michelle stands at the center of the field with his hands on his hips, and he looks down and he looks up, and he just seems a bit exasperated. Louis Gimona goes over to Mike Michelle and has a few words to him, and then Dennis Franks, who was the captain of the special teams, goes over and puts his arm around the shoulder of Mike Michelle and said, "Don't worry about it. We'll get the job done. We don't care if you have to kick from the 5 or kick from the 1.
Well, I tell you, there's a minute and 5 left, and 2 timeouts for the Vikings. They're going to get the ball up around midfield if they get any kind of decent run back here. Plenty of time for them to add some more points.
That's absolutely true, and I don't think there's a quarterback in the National Football League who can use those timeouts and run that 2-minute drill more expertly than Fran Tarkenton. He knows just how to make it work, as Green Bay found out last week, and so many teams have found out over the past 17 years. So now Mike Michelle will be kicking off from his own 25-yard line, but you can see the way he is approaching the ball right now that he's not going to get too much foot into it. He's approaching it very tentatively. So let's see what the Eagles bomb squad can do right here. Michelle hits it. Again it is low, and again it is heading over to the right side, but this time it is taken by Robert Miller at the 30 to the 35, and he has run out of bounds at the 42 or 43-yard line. And a flag goes down over there, I believe, and we could have a personal foul against one of the Eagles for hitting him late. There is a flag on the Eagles. It could be against Orrin Middlebrook over on that far side. Somebody hit him late. And that's something that the Eagles could ill afford. I was just about to say, they're going to step off the 15 yards right here. I was just about to say, considering where he kicked the ball from, the Eagles could be in a lot worse shape. But then a 15-yard penalty, a personal foul. There are no two ways about it. It's a dumb thing to do.
Late hit, out of bounds, number 81, defense, first down.
It is against Orrin Middlebrook. It's a dumb thing to do, and it cost the Eagles 15 yards. And now the Vikings operate in good field position. There is the Eagle 42. Parkinson splits the wide receivers, wants to throw on first down, goes over to the far sideline, incomplete. Ahmad Rashad was separated from the football by Herman Edwards, and Herman is not playing tentatively at all.
Absolutely not. Rashad had a chance to catch that ball, and Herman Edwards, who wasn't over there in time to break it up, just drove right into Rashad chest high and knocked the ball free.
We have 57 seconds remaining to be played here in this first half. Eagles on top of the Vikings, 27-14. Parkinson breaks them from the huddle. Out to the far side goes Rashad. Out to the near side goes Sammy White. Parkinson backs up, wants to throw, goes over the middle, completes to Ricky Young, who takes it across the 35 and goes down at the 32. Drew Mahalik made the stop right there.
Timeout, Minnesota.
Minnesota's going to take a timeout right here, and he may be about a yard shy of the first down. We'll see exactly where they spot it, but from here it looks to be just about a yard short.
And we're going to get a timeout called by the Vikings. They now have one remaining. Ball on about the 33-yard line.
They're going to bring in the chains and take a look at it. 50 seconds remaining to be played here in this first half. But the Eagles' offense has looked about as healthy today as it has this entire season. It is a first down. Just has the first down, but first down yardage is not a big thing at this point. Eagles would like to come in and dump Mr. Tarkenton or pick one off instead of letting them come down in the field goal territory for Rick Danmeyer. The Vikings are very anxious to see how Rick Danmeyer reacts when he has his first challenge this afternoon, because he blew one last week, a 21-yarder, which would have won that game in overtime against the Green Bay Packers, and he blew an earlier one from 32 yards away. But they say he's a tough kid, and he can come back. First and 10 for the Vikings, just one setback. That's Chuck Foreman. Young is on a wing left. Parkinson throws quickly to Rashad, who takes the pass inside the 30 and runs out of bounds at the Eagles' 28 to stop the clock. And again, it is Drew Mahalik back in the game and running him out of bounds.
Rashad's intent all the way was to step out of bounds there. A 4.5-yard gain, I guess. Stops the clock.
It uses up just 4 seconds. 46 seconds remaining to be played here in the first half. The football is spotted inside the Eagles' 30 down at the 28. That completion ties Fran Parkinson with Sonny Jurgensen for the all-time record of NFL completions in one season at 288. Parkinson back again, fires to that far sideline and again gets Rashad. This time he takes the football and goes out of bounds at the 23-yard line. So he breaks the record right here. Fran Tarkenton has now completed more passes in one season than anyone in NFL history.
They're not exactly picture-perfect passes. Little short out, flutter balls.
No, pickup right there of about 3 or 4 yards.
Pass was incomplete. Second foot came down out of bounds.
Well, as you can hear from the official, here at the stadium, they had already announced that Tarkenton had broken the record, but the official says, nope, that the second foot of Ahmad Rashad came down out of bounds, and now the Vikings will have a 3rd down and 6, the football at 28, and Tarkenton has only tied the record, but I think he will break it. The Vikings splitting the wide receivers as Tarkenton goes back. Flips a little pass to Foreman at the 25, Foreman at the 20, and Foreman at the Eagle 18 for a 1st down, and there is the record.
31 seconds. Mike's lining up without a huddle. Here we go.
And now it's down to 27 seconds remaining as Parkinson has 2 wide receivers over on the near side. He pumps one. He's going for the end zone. Incomplete. The pass was intended for Sammy White in the end zone, but he was well covered on the play. Back with him was Bobby Lee Howard, matching him step for step. And it will stop the clock with 19 seconds remaining in the half. It'll be a 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings. The football inside the 20 at the 18. Parkinson on the afternoon has completed 15 of 25 attempts for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception picked off by Bobby Lee Howard, his 3rd of the year. It's the 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings. Vikings going with 3 wide receivers as they pulled their tight end. Parkinson back, setting, looking left, going for the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Ahmad Rashad. Herman Edwards was back there with Rashad, but he had the inside on Edwards, Jim, and had the pass been delivered, I think the Vikings could have added 6 points.
Well, I tell you, he's a guy to watch. Rashad just put a great move on Herman Edwards. In order to get to the inside, he actually came back toward Tarkenton about 4 or 5 yards and then turned it back up. But that's how he maneuvered to get position, and he just is one of the great ones at getting in that perfect position.
And what he'll do is just when you'll think you have him inside, he'll turn to the outside and take one in that far corner. Good pressure that time by Dennis Harrison on Fran Parkinson. It is a 3rd down and 10 for the Vikings as Parkinson backpedals. Looks, sets, rolls away, floats the pass, intercepted by the Eagles. Intercepted by Berge. Berge to the 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, still on his feet. A midfield 45 down into Viking territory at the 42-yard line. Finally brought down by Mick Tingelhoff as the gun goes off. So Bill Berge intercepts the pass and took a long run with it, and the Vikings do not come up with the points right there. The gun sounds. That's the end of the half with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 27 to 14. Louis Jamona is deep into the far side for the Eagles, and Billy Campfield to the near side as Rick Danmeyer tees up the football. The Eagles offense would like to just control the football as much as it possibly can here in the second half and not give that Vikings offense a chance to operate. Here's Danmeyer's kickoff. It is low, and it is skidding and bouncing at the 20. And rolls beyond the Eagles, and is picked up by Jamona at the 5. Running laterally to the 10. And down goes Louis Jamona at the 12-yard line. So the Vikings got a break on a poor kickoff that hit it about the 30 and dribbled its way through the 2 Eagle men. Dribbled its way between Jamona and Billy Campfield. Jamona had to go back there and pick it up at the 5, and he got it back to the 12.
Well, all right, ball possession becomes very vital here. The Eagles now with the ball on the 11-yard line will want to get it out at least a couple of 1st downs before they punt if they have to punt. Snow is falling a little heavier right now, and the field, of course, getting a little slipperier.
Fred McNeil was the man who made the tackle on the kickoff. Jaworski brings up the Eagles and sets both wide receivers out to the outside. They're to the near side with Carmichael in that slot. The running backs are in the eyes. Jaworski turns and gives, and up the middle comes Wilbur Montgomery. He comes across the 12 and up to about the 14-yard line. A pickup of about 2 for Wilbur on the carry. It'll bring up a second down and 8. Dick Vermeil talks about a low-risk offense, and here in the second half, he would like that offense as low-risk as possible, but at the same time, he cannot afford to sit on the ball because you know how the Vikings can come back. Parkinson has brought many a team back. Second down and 6. A pickup of 4, they say. The wide receivers are split, the running backs in an open set. As Jaworski turns, gives off to Hogan, who tries to sweep. He comes across the corner, crosses the 15, and goes out of bounds at the 18. Fred McNeil and Bobby Bryant did the job of banging him out of bounds. But a good pickup right there by Hogan, who showed some good balance. Jim, I think as you look down, you can see the way his feet were sliding on the ice.
Eagles don't ordinarily like to throw the ball when they're down this deep in their own territory, but Bobby Bryant is really playing way off of Harold Carmichael on the corner, the left corner out here. And the quick out pattern, certainly the way it was played the last couple of downs, is wide open, and it looks like it's wide open again.
Well, he could do that, or he could go to his tight end, Rich Osborne. Let's see, or he splits his backs. He could flip to one of those. Jaworski on a long count. Does he put it in the air? He drops back. No, delay. Hand off to Montgomery, who comes across the 20. Up very close to the first down yardage at the 21 or 22. Let's see where they spot it. But Wilbur Montgomery took that delayed handoff and came upfield with the ball, and he is very, very close to an Eagle first down, close enough to bring in the chains. Jaworski will do that, and one of the things that makes that play very often is having Mike Hogan around, one of the better blocking backs in the National Football League. They stretch the chains, they take a look, first down Eagles. They get a break as the football just reaches the chains. So when you are trying to control that football, that's a big play right there. And they are away from that dangerous territory where they started this drive in the shadow of their own end zone. Have it across the 22. 13:47 remaining in the third quarter. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-14. Merle, Reese, and Jim Barniak happy to send you all the action from snowy Bloomington. The back shift out of the open set. Now coming in motion to the near side is Charlie Smith. Jaworski goes for the pitch right to Montgomery, who cuts inside at the 20, comes forward to the 24, and then he is grabbed and thrown back. Bill Wise, the strong safety, comes up and grabs Wilbert, and he minimizes his gain. Only 1 yard on the carry by Montgomery.
Good pursuit that time by the Vikings. They've been burned on that pursuit the last time Wilbert carried the ball in a similar play. He cut it back and turned it the other way for a long gain and a touchdown, but that time they filled all the holes well.
That was a 36-yard touchdown by Wilbert in that second quarter. Eagles' other 3 touchdowns have been on the pass. 2 to Carmichael and 1 to Charlie Smith. Now they put in 3 wide receivers. Second down and 9. Jaworski again in a delay and getting good running room. Up the middle comes Mike Hogan, and he leans forward, doesn't quite reach the 30, but comes up to about the 28 or 29 before James White makes the stop. So Jaworski likes to give them a passing look and then go with that delay, either to Montgomery or to Hogan.
We got some final scores here, Merle. Miami 16 and Washington 0. Green Bay 17 and Tampa Bay 7.
This is a very interesting situation for the Eagles right here. They have third down and 2. Rich Osborne, the tight end, comes back in the game. The wide receivers split. The running backs are set left. Does Jaworski put the ball in the air? He intends to. Fires the pass, and it is incomplete. Intended for Richard Osborne, and it goes off his hand. In fairness to Osborne, he had to leap to try and catch that ball and just fire out as far as he possibly could. Jaworski rolled out and just overthrew Osborne.
Maybe threw it a little bit too soon. Carl Eller, of course, was applying the pressure, and it's easy for us to say way up here, but that big guy coming down on you, and Ron tried to thread it there a little bit too quickly before Richie Osborne was in position.
But he was open. All right, here's the punt by Michelle. He gets it away. It is high, and it is floating, and Kevin Miller looks up at the snow, and he takes the football at the 30, does not take a fair catch, comes forward, falls across the 35 and up to the 36, and there he will stop. Louis Gambona makes another tackle. A 40-yard punt by Mike Michelle that time, and he is doing a fine job. He's getting the ball up, and the Vikings are not coming up with the run back. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles 27, the Vikings 14.
At Dotson.
The Eagles are leading the Vikings 27-14. That drive by the Eagles used up 3 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. So now the Vikings will get their hands on the ball offensively for the first time in the second half. And they take over at their own 36-yard line. First and 10 for the Vikings. Parkinson lines the wide receivers left, gives off and a handoff to Chuck Foreman, who comes off left tackle, up for about 3 yards before he is hit by Dennis Harrison and Charlie Johnson. Dennis Harrison is a defensive end, a rookie who comes out of Vanderbilt, and I am amazed at the improvement in Dennis. This summer, Jim, watching him at training camp, I got the feeling that Dennis just had a lot to learn. The innate ability was there, as the coaching staff said, but he is learning in a hurry.
Dennis had a funny line at the Bakers Club last week. The Bakers Club honored Carl Hairston as the Defensive Eagle of the Year, and Dennis said, hey, we got 3 games to go, and I'm really coming on.
He is. Jack Edelstein tells me that Foreman's carried 9 times for 42 yards. The handoff again goes to Foreman, and this time he comes forward, but not much. Bill Berge makes the stop, and Foreman goes down at about the 40. The yard marker is becoming more and more difficult to read as the field is becoming more and more white. They do a good job of keeping the snow off the field before the game. As we told you before, they have blowers underneath the tarp, and the field may get icy, but it does not get white. But right now, the green is being replaced. It is a 3rd down and 6 in the wide receiver split. Handoff on a delay to Foreman. Off left tackle and forward he goes. Close to midfield on a Viking first down. Carl Hairston makes the stop. That time, Parkinson set up the pass. He went to Foreman, and Foreman did the rest.
Well, that's what makes the guy such a great quarterback. You just no way you can figure him out. He throws the football all over the place for 2 periods and then starts out in what looks like an obvious passing situation here and tucks it into his big running back who gets the first down.
That's absolutely right. He can have the worst game in the world and still find a way to beat you in the final seconds. Vikings show both wide receivers out to the near side, White in the slot. He gives off on a reverse, and around with the football comes Ricky Young. Ricky Young goes down inside, down at about the 46-yard line. Ricky Young was the recipient that time of a reverse. It was Robert Miller taking the handoff, giving off to Ricky Young as he raced to his left. Young turned it back to the right, crossed midfield, and came down to the 46-yard line of the Eagles. But all things considering, the Eagles did a pretty good job of containing that and stopping it for a minimum gain. It is a 2nd down and 3. That could have been trouble right there. Parkinson spins, gives off inside, and down goes Robert Miller. Robert Miller gains very little right there.
And Ricky Young, I just happen to think he's not even the best runner in his own family. He's got a pretty famous nephew by the name of Walter Payton. Both uncle and nephew played in the same college backfield.
Jackson State.
Good.
He's got a famous cousin, too, Robert Brazil, the linebacker for the Houston Oilers. So Ricky Young, just one of the guys. No star treatment when the family gets together. 3rd down and 3. We're in the 3rd quarter. 8 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in that 3rd quarter. Eagles on top of the Vikings, 27-14. Vikings have the football at the Eagle 46. Parkinson fires in the flat. Gives to Miller. Miller at the 35 and down to the 40. Miller took it at the 45 and went down to the 40 and has the first down. Ken Clark makes the stop, but that time the play was well disguised. As Parkinson looked downfield, he pumped once, then went out to Robert Miller in the flat, who took it at the 45 and went down to the 40. He is just inside the 40, actually, of the Eagle 39-yard line. And the Vikings have another first down. The clock now shows 8:18. Vikings mounting a drive. The last time, at the end of the first half, when they came close, it was Berge with a saving interception. The defense wants another big play as Parkinson on play action drops. Set. Goes over the middle. Incomplete. Excellent defensive play by Herman Edwards. The pass was intended on a post pattern to Ahmad Rashad, and Herman Edwards came up and struck out the arm and knocked down the football. Incomplete.
That was about the only thing he could do. Rashad cut across the middle, had some room, and tucked his body down low, getting ready to receive the ball, and Herman Edwards came in from the rear, stuck his arm around, and poked it free.
We spoke of Parkinson floating the ball earlier in the game. He did not float that one. He drilled the pass, but Herman Edwards did the job. It's a 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings at the Eagle 39. The wide receivers are split, and Parkinson drops. Still dropping. Fires over the middle. Complete to the tight end, Bob Tucker, who fumbles the football forward. The football is retained by the Vikings, Robert Miller, and down he goes near the 22-yard line. The pass was caught by Bob Tucker. He was hit. The ball popped out of his arms into the arms of Robert Miller, who took it down to the Eagle 22. A A year ago, that probably would not have been legal, but this is 1978. It counts. The Vikings have a first down. They're at the Eagle 22.
And some good reaction, too, by the Eagles. That play, on that play, could have very easily, Mr. Miller could have trotted down there for a touchdown.
Eagles go with 5 defensive backs, but this time it is a spinning handoff to Miller, and Miller comes to the 20, and maybe gets to the 19, but not much more before Charlie Johnson stops him right there. But the Vikings are moving the football. They picked up about 2. We have 7 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-14. Johnny Outlaw is in the ball game for the Eagles in place of Bobby Lee Howard. So it is Outlaw, Logan, Shara, and Edwards in the deep secondary for the Eagles. Bobby Lee Howard limps off. John Outlaw in his place. Second down and 8. Parkinson, play action, looking left. Firing deep into the end zone. Pass batted in the air off the hands of Ahmad Rashad. Incomplete. Herman Edwards again had good position. Rashad had a shot of it, but it went off his hands. But Herman Edwards is having a tremendous game.
That time, Parkinson looked first to Rashad, then pumped the other way and wanted to go to Sammy White. Sammy White was covered by Johnny Outlaw as the Vikings tried to exploit Outlaw, who just came into the game. So back he goes to Rashad, and he just throws the ball high in the air, figuring that Ahmad can out-jump most people and catch the ball, but that time Herman Edwards got up and blocked it.
It's a big third date for the Vikings. Who pull Robert Miller and reinsert Ricky Young, and the snow continues to come harder. 3rd and 8. Parkinson back, setting, looking, fires in the flat to Foreman, spins away from the man at the 20, 15, 10. Chuck Foreman down at the 8. Berge makes the stop, but Chuck Foreman takes the short pass, spins away from one man, cuts outside at the 15, and takes it down to the 8. First and goal for the Vikings.
And a great call that time by Grant Tarkin, and Drew Mihalik, the right corner linebacker, on a blitz that time. He just jumped it right over Drew's head into Chuck Foreman's hands, who had gone to that vacated area, and then just used his great athletic ability to work it downfield, and the snow is starting to come down much harder.
Parkinson showing all the experience right now. First and goal to go for the Vikings at the Eagle 8. Gives off inside. It goes to Ricky Young, and he does not reach the 5. He goes down at about the 6-yard line. Making the stop, Frank Lemaster and Charlie Johnson. A pickup on the play of only about, they say about 3.5 or 4 yards as they spot the football forward, checking where his forward progress came to an end. So they spotted at the 6-yard line. Second down and goal to go for the Vikings from the 6. 5:22 remaining in the third quarter. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-14. Parkinson rolling right, lobs the pass to Ricky Young. Touchdown! Parkinson to Ricky Young, and the Vikings score. Parkinson rolled to his right, kept pumping the arm, looking for Ricky Young. He looped the little pass. Young ran under it at the 2 and took it in. And now it's a 27-20 game. The Vikings come within 7, and they can come within 6 with the extra point right here. Dan Meyer in, Krause to hold. Up the snap. So the Vikings trying for the extra point. The kick is up. There's a flag on the play. The kick is good. There is a flag on the play. The kick was good, and I believe it'll probably be an offsides against one of the Eagles this time. And let's wait and see.
12 men on the field. Defense. The point is good. 5 yards on the kickoff.
Well, it is 12 men on the field. The Eagles had 12 men on the field. I think they would have tried 14 if they could have gotten away with it, but they had 12 men on the field that time, so the kick is up. The kick is good. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles 27, the Vikings 21.
Hi.
The Vikings will kick off to the Eagles. Dan Meyer approaches the football. With the penalty tacked on, he kicks off from the 40. It is going deep. It is taken by Jamona at the 4, 10. Jamona at the 15. Jamona to the 20. And they finally bring a wiggling Louis Jamona down at the 25 or 26-yard line. Scott Studwell makes the stop, but they had Louis at about the 22, and all of a sudden coming out from under a pile was Louis Jamona for an additional 4 yards. The Eagles will put the football in play, first and 10 at their own 26. A 22-yard return by Louis Jamona. But the Vikings are within a touchdown. And they take the lead. That extra point the Eagles missed just before the half could hurt. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. Tarkenton took them down on a tremendous drive. Now the Eagles back on offense with 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Jaworski splits the wide receivers. The running backs are at an eye. Now they shift out of it into a set right. In motion to the far side goes Charlie Smith as Jaworski turns and gives off. An off-left tackle comes over Montgomery, and he crosses the 30 and comes up to about the 32-yard line. James White makes the stop. A good block by Tom Lucan, giving Wilbert some running room, and Wilbert picked up 6. So it's second down and 4. 4:42 remaining to be played here in the third quarter. The snow, one moment it comes down hard, then it eases up for another. The field very, very icy. Second down and a long 4. Wide receiver split. Running back from the open set. Jaworski looking, dropping, setting, going over the middle, looking for Carmichael. Almost intercepted, incomplete. Almost intercepted by Tom Hannon, who had the best shot at it. Jaworski wanted Carmichael on that left sideline. It did not work.
Well, he faked short as Howard Carmichael beat Bobby Bryant, and then Ron Jaworski tried to lay it in there, but Tom Hannon came over in great reaction that time and broke it up, almost intercepted it.
He had the angle on it, and to most effectively run that pass with Carmichael, you have to throw it up there a bit, and if it isn't thrown highly, the linebacker or the defensive back, or safety in this case, can come over and get that angle, and he did just that. A third down and 5 for the Eagles. They have the ball at their own 31. The running backs are split. The wide receivers are split. Jaworski back, setting, looking up the middle. He's going to run. Jaworski to the 35, and he slides down at the 38-yard line. He has just enough for an Eagle first down. So Jaworski took the drop. He saw the center of the field wide open, and he rolled upfield. But there is a flag down at the 25-yard line, and I think it's going to be holding against the Eagles.
Well, the Vikings are certainly raising their fist in jubilation to indicate that it is against the Eagles, and now we see that it is as both teams are walking back toward the 20-yard line.
Well, that's going to hurt. No question about that as they step off the penalty yardage, because Jaworski did have a first down. Instead, they will spot the football at the Eagle 21. So it will give him
Holding number 76, offense, third down.
the holding penalty against Jerry Sizemore, and it's going to bring up a third down and about 15 and a half. Has to get close to the 37-yard line. This time they go with 3 wide receivers. Carmichael in a slot to the left. Outside of him is Kenny Payne. Out to the far side is Charlie Smith. The running backs are wide open on the long count. Jaworski back. Set. Being rushed. Rolls to his right. Flags go down. Fires incomplete. Pass intended for Willard Montgomery. The flags go all over the place. And it could be a holding penalty on the Eagles again. But I wouldn't blame an offensive lineman who was caught for holding right there. Because I'll tell you, all kinds of people had shots at Jaworski. They had all kinds of shots at him. And it was a desperation move. And, Jim, you talk to most offensive linemen, and they'll tell you when somebody has that kind of a clean shot at their quarterback, they're going to hold if that's the only way that they can use to keep them out.
And the Eagles are suddenly backing themselves into some real trouble here. They're now huddling near the end zone. The ball on the line of scrimmage is going to be at about the 10-yard line, coming out to the 11. Of course, there's third and long here, third and 25, actually, for a first down.
Number 75, offense, still third down.
Even a great punt is going to give the Vikings a very fine field position to start another drive, and they only need 7 points to go ahead in this ball game.
Eagles have now been penalized 8 times for 94 yards. Vikings have 7 penalties. It's a third and 25. Eagles put the ball on their own 12-yard line. They lead the Vikings 27-21. We have 4:04 remaining in the third quarter as Jaworski has the 3 wide receivers in the ball game. He drops. He gives on his delay to Montgomery. The 10, 15. He stumbles at the 16 and goes down hard. And there's a flag again thrown back at the 8-yard line. And again the Vikings yell and scream, and it's against the Eagles. The Vikings having a ball right now, showing happiness with every penalty flag. Well, Wilbert took that football on the delay handoff and brought it up to the 17-yard line. Let's check the call.
Holding number 76, offense, decline, fourth down.
This time it is against Jerry Sizemore, as you can hear. The referee said, the official said holding against the defense, but he meant the offense. And now the Eagles will punt the football as the Vikings have declined.
Eagles have been having some trouble on their punting snaps. They've been high, and fortunately Mike Michelle's been able to come up with them and get the punts off.
He'll take this snap inside his own 5. Kevin Miller stands at midfield. Here's the snap. It's a good one. Michelle gets it away. It's high. It's floating. It's a fine punt. Backing up his Miller at the 40. Coming to the 45. Spinning away from one man, and down he goes at the 47-yard line. Eagles with a good job of containment. Again, Louis Jamona makes the stop. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. Here in Bloomington, Minnesota, we're getting set for what could be a very dramatic finish. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. As yet there are 3:47 remaining in the third quarter. But the Vikings showed some signs. Boy, they had a great drive to come back and get that last touchdown. And now they have the ball again. First and 10 for the Vikings on their own 48-yard line. And the Snow drives down. Parkinson splits the wide receiver, who goes with a pitch out to Chuck Foreman, who runs to his right, tries to turn the corner. He cannot. He is shoved out of bounds by a fast-charging Dennis Harrison and picks up only 2 yards. Jim, how about some scores?
Well, these are all finals. The Jets 24, Baltimore 16, Miami 16, Washington nothing, Cincinnati 37, Atlanta 7, Green Bay 17, Tampa 7. Los Angeles 20 and the New York Giants 17, and the Rams are in the playoffs. They clinched their division, the Western Division of the NFC. Right here, it's 27-21.
Dennis Harrison showing very good quickness getting over there on that left outside, but the play was strung over by Reggie Wilkes. It is a second down and 8 for the Vikings. The ball just shy of midfield. In motion to the near side goes Ricky Young. Parkinson back, fires for that far sideline. All alone and taking the pass is Rashad, and he goes out of bounds at the Eagles 33. I don't know how Rashad was that clear, but he was all alone over there on the far side, and Parkinson found them and dropped the football in there for a 17-yard gain. And once again, the Vikings are threatening.
I think Drew Mahalik, who just lost his footing and couldn't get a very deep drop over there, and Herman Edwards protecting the deep zone, had to play way off of Rashad.
Somebody had to fall down because he was that open. First and 10 for the Vikings. They have the football at the Eagle 36. Parkinson rolls right. Fires over the middle. Incomplete pass intended for Ricky Young at the 30. The pass goes off his hands as he was swarmed over. Hit by Reggie Wilkes, but there is a flag down on the field down at the 16-yard line, and we'll have to wait and see what they call right here. They are motioning pass interference against the Vikings. It is offensive pass interference being called against Ahmad Rashad, who was on the right side that time, and now the Vikings will be penalized.
Bobby Lee Howard, I think, was the defender in this case. You don't see that play called too often, but don't forget the new rules this year. Once outside that 5-yard zone, the receiver cannot make contact with a defender either, and that's what happened down there.
It becomes almost a basketball thing.
Interference, number 28, offense, still first down.
It's against Rashad. Rashad's had a fine afternoon. He has 7 catches on the afternoon for 84 yards. But that time, a penalty against him. Almost like a charging penalty in basketball. It's a first down and 20 for the Vikings. It's the 45 of the Eagles. Parkinson wants to throw on first down. Goes left. Fires down the far sideline. Incomplete. Herman Edwards over there in coverage. Ahmad Rashad is the closest man to the ball, but Parkinson was being rushed, and rather than ape the football or throw into a more dangerous territory, he wisely fired it high into the air and out of bounds. Reggie Wilkes and Dennis Harrison were pressuring him. We pause 10 seconds for station identification.
When the Eagles aren't playing,
Second and 20 for the Vikings. Eagles leading 27-21. 3:22 remaining in the third quarter. Vikings with the ball at the Eagle 44. It's a draw play, and right up the middle goes Chuck Foreman. He comes across the 40, and he goes down to the 36-yard line before Reggie Wilkes stops him. So Parkinson mixing his plays beautifully right now. We saw how much he can confuse the defense on that last drive. On the first drive of the game, he was about as effective as anybody could possibly be as he moved them right downfield. And on their first offensive series for the second half, he did the same kind of thing. Precision football for Francis style. It's third down and 11 for the Vikings. The ball spotted just inside the Eagle 35. 3rd and 11. The wide receivers are split. Sammy White to the near side. Rashad to the far side. Parkinson rolling left. Still rolling. Turns. Fires. Incomplete. Knocked down by Herman Edwards. Herman Edwards cut across the field and knocked down the ball intended for Bob Tucker. Big defensive play. Another key defensive play for Herman, who's been making them all afternoon.
Another waggle pattern by Tarkin at that time. He just tucked it under his arm and waggled out toward the sidelines for a while, then set up and tried to find a receiver down there. Tried to drill that one, and that's not Fran's style. Herman Edwards was able to react and knock it down.
Very difficult to get the body behind the pass when you are rolling on this kind of icy turf, but Tarkenton did well there. John Schauer backs up. Greg Coleman in the game. He specializes at dropping punts inside the 20-yard line. Last year, he was the best in the NFC in that. He gets the snap. He gets the punt away. He angles to the near sideline. It hits at the 5. No way. It goes in and out of the end zone. Greg Coleman, I said he was the best in the NFC last year doing that. He was the best with the AFC last year. He was with the Cleveland Browns, and he was really an artist at getting it inside the 20. But that time he misses. They'll bring it out 1st and 10 for the Eagles. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. We've got a football game here in Bloomington today, about as entertaining a game as you've seen in a long time. 2 minutes and 29 seconds to be played here in the 3rd quarter. Eagles on top of the Vikings, 27-21. Eagles with the football, and they want to mount a drive here. Not a safe margin at all. Jaworski lines up both wide receivers out to the far side. On 1st down, he hands off inside and going straight off left tackle is Wilbert Montgomery, charging up to the 25 or 26-yard line. Mark Mullaney and Jeff Seaman makes the stop, but Wilbert is having himself quite a day on the afternoon. He has 91 yards.
Well, we mentioned he needs only 100 to top the 1,000 mark, and no one's done that in an Eagle uniform since Steve Van Buren in 1949.
Jack Edelstein tells me he has 99 yards, 99 of the afternoon, so he is one shy of that 1,000-yard mark. 2nd down and 5 for the Eagles. Jaworski sets them up at the 26. Both wide receivers left. The handoff inside to Wilbert. Good yardage, and he crosses the 30 and comes up to the 32, up to the 33 or 34. And now Wilbert gets the 1,000 yards. Wilbert cutting inside right there, and a good run. Good blocking, making it possible. Stan Walters and Tom Lucan, they opened that hole, and whoosh went Wilbert. 107 yards in the afternoon. 1:24 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 for the Eagles. 27-21, they lead the Vikings. Now, flip-flopping over to the far side goes Rich Osborne, the tight end. Jaworski to Montgomery on a sweep right. Gets away from one man, tries to cut it back, doesn't get any place. Wilbert Montgomery started out to the far side, tried to cut it back to the inside when the outside was closed, but the Vikings were there to grab him, and he goes no place.
Vikings really looking for that cutback move now out of Wilbert. He's already burned them once for 1 touchdown, a 36-yard run, and Fred McNeil, he's watching them all the time and anticipating that play.
Well, they brought Rich Osborne over there to that far side to give him additional blocking. Now the wide receivers line up to the near side with Carmichael in the slot. Inside of Charlie Smith. The back to the wide open center. It is 2nd down and 10. Jaworski on a little floater to Montgomery at the 30. Montgomery cuts inside at the 35 and goes down at the 48. At the 38. Montgomery took the pass at the 30-yard line, tried to cut it inside. He crossed the 35, came up to the 38-yard line, and then he was hit and dropped by Fred McNeil and Mark Mullaney. So he does pick up 6 yards right there, but it brings up that 3rd down and 4.5 for 3rd and 5. And that is going to do it for the 3rd quarter as the gun sounds. There is the 3rd quarter. A timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. At the end of the quarter today, the Eagles were leading the Vikings 14-7, and then at the half, they led the Vikings 27-14. Now we have just passed the 3-quarter mark, and the Eagles are up 27-21, but all that counts is what the score reads at the end of this one. Getting set for action here in the 4th quarter. Snowy day in Bloomington, Minnesota. 27-21, the Eagles. They have themselves in a 3rd and 5. They have the ball at about the 38-yard line. Their own 38. Eagles break from the huddle. Using 3 wide receivers. The Vikings go into the nickel defense. Add the extra defensive back. Carmichael in that slot to the right. Outside of him is Kenny Payne. Smith out to the far side. The back's in the open set. As Jaworski turns and gives off on the draw, and the Vikings have contained Wilbert Montgomery for little or no gain. They were reading at that time. The Eagles tried to go with the draw to Wilbert Montgomery. They set up the look for the pass. They went on the delay to Montgomery, and Jeff Seaman says, Wilbert, you stop right here.
Carl Eller, too, played a big role there. He took an inside loop, and when he did that, he ran right into the hole and plugged things up and bumped right into Wilbert.
So Mike Michelle with another pressure punt will await the snap at the 22-yard line. Kevin Miller deep for the Vikings. Michelle gets it off. It's high. It hangs. Miller comes over, backs up, takes it at the 25, tries to turn upfield, but he does not. Down he goes under a rush led by Terry Totono. The Vikings will take over at the 25-yard line. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. Vikings are the first and 10. They have the football at their own 27-yard line. They trail the Eagles 27-21. As Parkinson lines them up, he's 20 for 38, 181 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. First and 10 for the Vikings. In motion to the near side comes Ricky Young. Parkinson to throw on first down. Setting up, looking right, looking left. Pumping, fires the football out of bounds. Incomplete. Chuck Foreman was over there on the far side. Good pass rush by Carl Hairston, who was in there on Parkinson and forced him to scramble. The Eagles defensive backs did a good job that time.
Parkinson wanted to find Ricky Young that time. Young went to the in-motion to this side of the field as Ahmad Rashad cleared the zone, and Drew Mahalik came right up and played Young nose to nose, and Tarkinen couldn't throw it across field with Mahalik that close. Then he almost ate the ball and then threw it away.
It is second and 10 for the Vikings. Wide receivers are split. The running back's in an open set. Again, in motion to the near side comes Ricky Young. The handoff inside, but the Eagles read it, and Chuck Foreman is dropped at the 27. Eagles read it to perfection, and Bill Berge surrounds him. Drops Chuck Foreman. No gain on the play. So again, Jim, there was the motion. Ricky Young coming out to that near side, trying to give some running room in the middle or create something, and it didn't work. Chuck Foreman was there for the handoff, but Bill Berge was there to receive Chuck Foreman. It is 3rd and 9 for the Vikings. Rashad lines up to the near side. Sammy White to the far side. Parkinson back, setting, looking, fires the ball over the middle, and the pass is complete. Complete. Up at the 45-yard line to Sammy White for a Viking first down. Great catch by Sammy White. Had to take it almost on his back. Pass barely reached him, but he did get his hands on it for a 16-yard gain. Big completion right there for the Vikings. That hurts. First and 10 for the Vikings as they move upfield. They have the football at their own 44-yard line. They trail the Eagles 27-21. We have 12:58 remaining in the fourth quarter. Parkinson to throw on first down. Scrambles left. Scrambles right. Floats the pass over the middle and drops harmlessly with nobody around it. Intended for Chuck Foreman, but it is incomplete. Dennis Harrison with good pressure.
I'll tell you, Fran Tarkinen going to his whole bag of tricks here, calling on all 18 years experience, just trying to pull off another touchdown here. That time he had nobody to throw to, held the ball as long as he could to avoid that rush, and then finally dumped it off into an open area. And he always gets it close enough to a receiver to avoid the penalty.
Well, the Vikings quarterbacks this season have been sacked 27 times, and the Eagles would like to make that 28. They have not reached Francis so far this afternoon. They have pressured him intensely a few times, but they haven't gotten him yet. They love him. Parkinson backs up. Second down and 10. Fires over the middle. Intercepted. Intercepted by the Eagles. Randy Logan, and he turns it back upfield, and he goes down at the Viking 46-yard line. First down for the Eagles. Big play. The pass was intended for Sammy White. Randy Logan steps in front of Sammy White, picked up the interception. There is a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles 27, the Vikings 21. First and 10 for the Birds. Jaworski lines up with both wide receivers left. On play action, he drops. He fires over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for either Rich Osborne or Harold Carmichael, but it almost ended up in the hands of Tom Hannon, and there had to be a mistake there in the pattern.
Right, two receivers, Carmichael and Rich Osborne, much too close together there. Ordinarily, Harold Carmichael on that play squares out and runs maybe a 10-yard pattern. That time he was 20 yards downfield, but I don't even think Harold expected the football either as it sailed right by him. One of the Vikings down on the play, one of the guys in the deep secondary.
It is Tom Hannon who was back there in coverage. He's the man who almost intercepted the football. And Jim, while they take a look at Hannon and straighten him back to his feet, how about us taking a look at the board?
Well, a lot of things going well as far as the Eagles playoff hopes go. Atlanta Falcons got clobbered today by Cincinnati 37-7. The Washington Redskins were defeated 16-0 by the Miami Dolphins. Green Bay 17 and Tampa Bay 7. The Pack with a chance to go into first place in NFC Central if the Vikings cannot win this ball game today. And then the Vikings are in some trouble as far as playoffs go. Elsewhere today, San Francisco trails New Orleans right now 24-13. They're in the fourth quarter. The Giants were defeated by Los Angeles 20-17. Baltimore was defeated by the New York Jets 24-16. St. Louis goes ahead at Detroit in the fourth period 21-14.
The hand here at Metropolitan Stadium is for Paul Krause, who comes in the game replacing Tom Hannon. Paul Krause, a big favorite, a 15-year veteran, and he enters this game. He's played very little this year, but he enters this game as he has entered the season, needing one interception to tie the career interception record of Emlyn Tunnell. Tunnell had 79. Krause has 78. But the Eagles would like to keep him from getting it against them. He can have all the interceptions he wants next week when the Vikings visit Detroit. But this week, the Eagles want some more points. They lead 27-21. They have a second down and 10. They have the football at the Viking 46. Wide receivers split. Jaworski on play action. Drop back. Look, has the pass batted into the air, incomplete. Almost intercepted. The pass was batted into the air and almost picked off by the Vikings. I believe it went off the hands of Mark Mullaney, and it was almost picked off by Matt Blair. Fortunately for the Eagles, it hit the turf harmlessly at about the 40-yard line. So instead of a Viking interception, and that would have been critical, the Eagles have a 3rd and 10.
Ken Payne, wide receiver, the third wide receiver, coming in with a play here. Out goes Rich Osborne.
3 wide receivers. 3rd and 10 for the Eagles. They have the ball at the Viking 46-yard line. 12:32 remaining in the fourth quarter. Eagles up by 6. Carmichael all by his lonesome on the near side. Jaworski looking. Fires down the far side. Incomplete. Intended for Ken Payne, who had beaten his man. Ken Payne was open momentarily, but the pass by Jaworski skidded by his outstretched arms. Incomplete. Jaworski looks down and kicks the dirt or the ice or whatever is down there in frustration and trots off the field. So the Vikings will have the football once again, and Mike Michel will be in to punt it. Kevin Miller drops back. He'll be the returner for the Vikings, standing at his own 14-yard line. The rush comes, but Michel beats it with a high floating punt that hits on the 5 and goes out of bounds on the 3. A tremendous punt by Mike Michel, who has been punting with just that kind of pressure all afternoon, and he drives it inside the Viking 5.
Vince Papali's so happy he did a surf slide down in the snow down there, running down under that punt. The Vikings are on the 3-yard line, and if Fran Tarkenton's going to put it up here, he's really a gutsy quarterback.
A 42-yard punt that time by Michel. Yeah, we had seen Michel so often since he came to the Eagles in critical situations, and he always seems to come through. Dick Vermeil has often said that he felt comfortable in getting Mike Michel because he's an athlete who has played other positions. He was a strong safety at Stanford. And he's right in the football game at all times, and he's doing a job this afternoon. 1st and 10, and Tarkenton wants to throw from his own end zone. Fires it in the air, incomplete. Intended for Ahmad Rashad somewhere over there on the right side. The pass did not come within 15 yards of him. It goes out of bounds over everybody on the sideline, and the Vikings have a second down and 10.
Fran Tarkenton just gambling there that maybe Rashad would be played very loosely and pick up an easy 10-yard gain, but Rashad, that was not the case at all. He was watched very closely by Bobby Howard, and I think Fran just threw that one into the stand, or into the Viking bench, as it were.
Second and 10 for the Vikings.
Tarkenton has 43 attempts this afternoon. 43 attempts. Second down, and he fires again, and this time on a screen left to Sammy White, who cuts back inside, tries for the running room, finds it at the 10, and comes up to the 15 for a first down. Sammy White on the screen left. The Eagles had him at the 10, but he kept moving the legs, and he sidestepped and sidestepped and sidestepped, and finally found running room that took him up to the 15, and the Vikings first down. So the Vikings put the ball in the air, and they come out of trouble. For the moment, they do. 1st and 10 for the Vikes. The ball at their own 15. Wide receivers over there on the far side. Rashad. Tarkenton rolling right. flips to his running back, Young. And Young is thrown down for a loss. Inside the 15, down at the 14 by Dennis Harrison. And this may be Dennis's best day of the season.
Well, on that play, Dennis Harrison's first responsibility was to pressure the quarterback, which he did, and then he turned around and tackled the receiver.
What an afternoon for the young rookie out of Vanderbilt. Even speaking to Dennis on the trips and practice, you can see the poise that he's gaining on almost a week-by-week basis. And he's playing as fine a defensive end this afternoon as anybody has this season. He's just playing a great game. He really is. Second down and 11 following the loss of 1. And Parkinson to the air again. Goes to the near side to Rashad, who catches the pass, and then the Eagles bring him down for a short gain inside the 20, down at about the 17-yard line. Frank Lemaster. The pass was drilled out to Rashad. He tried to give ground, look for running room. He didn't find it.
He tried to pull the same maneuver that Sammy White turned into a first down, and that time it didn't work, and he actually lost a couple of yards in trying to do it.
If ever there is a quarterback who can come up with these critical third downs, it's Mr. Tarkenton out there. 45% of the time they've converted on third downs. Robert Miller comes in the ball game. It's a 3rd and 8 for the Vikings as Tarkenton drops. Tarkenton looks. Tarkenton rolls, fires over across the middle, incomplete, knocked down by Randy Logan, intended for the tight end, Bob Tucker. Great job by Randy, and the Vikings will have to punt. Well, you talk about quarterbacks who come up with the clutch plays. Tarkenton does so often, but the Eagles' defense has been coming up with the clutch plays today and for so many Sundays.
Friend rolled out to his right that time and tried to throw back across the grain. Again, great coverage by Randy Logan. The Vikings punting now from inside their 5-yard line.
As far as pass coverage is concerned, this might be Randy's outstanding game of the season. Coleman in the punt, shuffling the feet nervously, awaiting the snap. He gets it. No pressure by the Eagles. He gets it off. It is high and fluttering, and Shara takes it at the 45, and he's buried. He is hit in a hurry by Harry Washington, who went down and clobbered John Shara seconds after the football touched his hand. So the Eagles will operate after that 37-yard punt. 1st and 10 for the Eagles, the ball on their own 46.
Some other scores. Seattle running it up against Cleveland, 21-0 in the second period. New England 7 and Dallas 3 there in the first period. Pittsburgh 3 and Houston 0. That one just starting. And another final in now. Kansas City 14 and Buffalo 10. New Orleans 14, San Francisco 13. They're in the 4th period.
Jim Jaworski is going to be out of the game right now. He bruised his hand, we understand, in that last series. And John Walton, his backup, is in the game. Jim Gallagher stops in to tell us. And now the Eagles are going to have to go with John Walton. John Walton is a quarterback without much game experience in the National Football League, but he has one of the strongest right arms. He is a guy who works very hard. He studies his game films, and Dick Vermeil has said repeatedly, I think the Eagles are very fortunate to have a backup man as capable as John Walton.
Well, John Walton, a very likable guy who certainly puts in a lot of time and doesn't get very much credit and doesn't get very much recognition. And be a great opportunity and a great boost for the whole club to see John come in here and get the Eagles some more points. They'd sure love to have more points and make the Vikings have to score at least twice.
We have 10 minutes and 2 seconds remaining to be played in this game, and the Vikings offense has had their chances. A couple of big Eagles punt plays have started the Vikings back pretty far in their own territory. That last drive made them start in their 3, and they took it out. But now the Eagles want to sustain some offense. They want to eat up some seconds. There are 10 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21. Here's Walton's first play with the Eagles having the ball on their own 46. He turns and gives to Montgomery, who finds running room off left tackle. Montgomery across midfield. Montgomery down at the Viking 48. Fred McNeil makes the stop. You talk about the passing. You talk about going from Jaworski to Walton. You talk about the timing with receivers. But one thing you have to remember is there is a great deal of timing on the very handoff play itself.
Absolutely. Of course, these conditions don't make it any easier.
Second down.
Wilbur looked like Moose DuPont going through that line that time.
Second down and 4. The Eagles in a slot left. Osborne, the tight end, strong right. The back's in an open set behind John Walton, who puts Charlie Smith in motion to the near side. Then he turns and gives off to Hogan, who finds big running room, and he cracks down inside the Viking 40, down to the Viking 38. Good blocks by Stan Waters and Tom Lukin and Guy Morris. And now the Eagles have a first down. They're on the move. The snow continues to fall. 9:08 remaining to be played here in the 4th quarter. The Eagles leading the Minnesota Vikings 27-21. They want some more points. They want at least 3 more. Vikings can tie them with 1 touchdown and take the lead with a touchdown and an extra point. So the Eagles want more. John Walton in there at quarterback trying to drive them in. He splits his wide receivers. He splits his running back. Now in motion to the near side comes Charlie Smith. Walton turns, gives to Montgomery, who comes off left tackle for short yardage. Maybe a gain of 2, but not much more. Fred McNeil makes the stop.
Eagles pecking away here, getting 3 yards at a clip, and of course eating up that clock. 8:27 to go now. They've already killed better than 3 minutes on this drive.
It's a 2nd down and 8. Football sitting in the mud at the center of the field. But it's inside the Viking 40, down at the 37-yard line. It is a 2nd down and 8. Walton, running the series, has yet to throw a pass. Carmichael out to the near side. Out to the far side is Smith. The back shift out of an eye. They're in an open set with Montgomery right. Hogan left. Handoff to Hogan, who bounces off one man, but then the Vikings have him and they throw him back. Tom Hannon makes the stop, helped out by Matt Blair. So that time, John Walton tried to make them think fast, go with the delayed handoff that has worked in the past to Mike Hogan, but that time it does not. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 8. And this time, Walton will almost surely put the football in the air. Kenny Payne comes in the game, and the Eagles will try it with 3 wide receivers as Richard Osborne trots out. 3rd down and 8. 7.5 minutes in the 4th quarter. 27-21 the Eagles. Payne comes out to the near side. Carmichael in that slot. Smith out to the far side. Backs in a wide open set. Walton with his biggest play. He's dropping. He's setting. He fires the pass. Incomplete. Intended in the near side to Mike Hogan. Even if he caught it, he would not have had the yardage for a 1st down. Bill Wise was over there in coverage, but Hogan, the fullback, reached down. The ball went off his chest. Incomplete. The Eagles will have to punt.
John didn't get set up very well that time. He was still backpedaling when he threw that football, and that's a heck of a way to have to throw a completion. He threw it low in the ground, and Eagles are going to be punting here.
He was, and Michelle will take the snap from Dennis Franks at his own 48-yard line. Gets the punt away. It's high. Kevin Miller watches it. It bounces at the 10, and they will mark it at the 10-yard line. Eric Johnson was down there in coverage, but the punt goes out of bounds just inside the 10-yard line, and Mike Michelle puts the 27-yarder out of bounds, and he does the job again. That is twice in succession that Mike Michelle has made the Vikings start their drive inside the 10. Last time the 3, this time the 9.
What a beautiful place for a turnover here, Merle. Grant Tarkin indicated on that last drive that he'll throw it from anywhere. He threw 2 passes out of his own end zone and got the team out from that field position when they were starting on their own 3. So he's going to put it up. He's already been intercepted 3 times, but usually when he's under the most pressure, he seems to perform at the best.
He does that. He has Ricky Young in there, one running back, Chuck Foreman the other. Worked most of the day with those 2, although we have seen Robert Miller on occasion. They've stayed pretty much with the same guys, Ahmad Rashad and Sammy White. Sammy White playing an excellent game. Rashad has made some big catches. Sammy White has received a couple of touchdowns. Ricky Young has a touchdown reception. As far as the Eagles are concerned, a couple of touchdown passes to Harold Carmichael. 36-yard run by Wilbur Montgomery. Charlie Smith has the other Eagles touchdown. So now the Vikings have the football, and when time resumes, they will put it in play just inside the 10-yard stripe, their own 10-yard stripe. As the skies darken some more. 27-21. The Eagles trying to nail down their biggest win in many, many, many years. Parkinson lines up the Vikings, splits the receivers, drops back, almost slips, fires over the middle, completes the pass to Bob Tucker, and Tucker goes down at about the 15. Parkinson did a good job as he backed up almost to the end zone, had his feet nearly go out from under him at the 2. He regained his balance and threw the crossing pattern to Bob Tucker, who picks up 7.
He hasn't done much with his tight end. Threw that ball high, and Tucker made a real fine catch. That ball could have been intercepted if Tucker did not get his hands on it.
Frank Lemaster is the Eagle who made the tackle. So it is 2nd down and a long 2 for the Vikings. Running back split. Wide receiver split. As Parkinson turns and gives off to Ricky Young, who comes off right tackle, comes up close to the 20. I don't know if he reached it. While they unpile, we'll pause 10 seconds for station identification.
Ken Garland plays your song, WI.
It's a 3rd down and 1 for the Vikings, and they're going to operate right now with 3 tight ends. Steve Craig the 3rd, and on the short yardage, it's a handoff to Chuck Foreman, who comes off right tackle, and he has the Vikings 1st down. 1st down for the Vikings. The clock continues to tick. 5:53, 5:52. We are late in the 4th quarter. The Eagles are leading the Minnesota Vikings 27-21. Eagles trying to contain the Vikings right here. They want the football back. They want it away from Franz Parkinson. They know how dangerous he can be. Rashad lines up to the near side. Sammy White to the far side. Parkinson dropping, setting, looking, firing for the near side. Almost intercepted, incomplete. Intended for Rashad. Almost intercepted by Herman Edwards. And he has got to be one of the most valuable players of this snowy day.
I'll tell you, a lot of things going on down there that time. Almost intercepted by Herman Edwards and then almost caught by Rashad. And had Rashad caught it, he had nothing but clear sailing down that sideline.
Well, Herman will talk about that gamble. He says you can't think, do I gamble or don't I gamble? You react. You don't think on a play like that. We've seen him react to the Eagles' advantage. We've seen him be beaten at a time or two. But right there, he reacted well, and it worked. On third down, the handoff goes off to Chuck Foreman, and he falls down just short yardage. Comes up to about the 24-yard line. Foreman on second down picked up about 2 yards. That's about all. And now it'll be a Viking third down. Third and about 7. 7.5, perhaps. Foreman in the afternoon, 16 carries, 66 yards. Not a great day for him. It is a third down and 8 for the Vikings. They have the football at their own 24-yard line. Parkinson splits the receivers. He's dropping, still dropping, looking, fires over the middle, completes the pass to Sammy White. He gets away from the man at the 45, and finally Herman Edwards tackles him. But the Vikings take the first down as they move the chain. Sammy White, Parkinson had time right there. He had nobody in front of him obscuring his vision, and he had time to watch Sammy White run that crossing pattern and drill it. He did. 21-yard gain.
And he had everybody out on the pattern. His both backs were running short out patterns, and they occupied the linebackers. Sammy White just took a deep route, then turned back in and came up underneath the zone.
4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Vikings with a 1st and 10. Motion left, but Robert Miller. Parkinson hands off inside to Chuck Foreman, and he's grabbed by Bill Berge and slammed down at the 45. Maybe a yard at the very most. But Bill Berge read that precisely, and he grabbed Chuck Foreman and slammed him down at about the 46-yard line. A pickup of only 2. Eagles leading the Vikings 27-21, 3:44 remaining to be played in the fourth quarter. Vikings break from the huddle. The football at the 46, their own 46. The backs are split, the receivers are split. Parkinson back, setting, looking, still looking. Screen pass to Foreman. He cannot get away from Wilkes. Now he does, and down he goes again at the 46 or 47. So Reggie Wilkes came up. He contains him. He had him. He let him slip away, but finally he does get him again. A very short gain. Good D by the Eagles.
And lots of discussion down there as though there might be a penalty. It's getting hard for us to see the flag.
If there are any flags, it's a penalty against the Eagles. Looks like a personal foul against the Eagles, and this will hurt. Oh, boy, they're going to step off 15 big ones right here, and this does hurt.
I see the flag laying on about the 35-yard line.
Close to the head, number 66, defense, first down.
Well, the personal foul is against Berge. And they step off the penalty yardage. And now the Vikings have the football at across the Eagle 40, inside the 40, down at the 36. Down at the 36. 1st and 10 for the Vikings. They swap their wide receivers. Rashad, inside Rashad is Sammy White. Parkinson fires, screen left, almost intercepted by Edwards, incomplete, intended for Rashad. Herman Edwards had the bead that time, and if he had taken it, he would have gone 70 yards for a touchdown, but the ball just eludes his icy hands. Incomplete. What a play that would have been. But nevertheless, Herman does the job and knocks the pass away. The Vikings, not yet in field goal range of Dan Meyer, but they need more than a field goal. They trail the Eagles by 6. Eagles leading 27-21. The clock with 3:19 as Parkinson lines them up. Sends Ricky Young in motion right. Parkinson back. Pumps once. Fires over to the near side to Foreman, who falls down, and he's going to be contained at the 36. The line of scrimmage. No damage there.
Well, that was a break for the Eagles. The Vikings ran a little screen play that time, put a couple of blockers in front of Chuck Foreman. He caught the ball and had some running room, but lost his footing and fell down and gave the Eagles time to recover.
So again, Sir Francis with an important third down. It is third down and 10. They have the ball at the 36-yard line. 2 minutes and 46 seconds as the clock continues to tick. Here in the fourth quarter, the crowd gets ready for action. The wide receivers are split. One running back. Parkinson rolls right. Setting. Has time. Goes long. Deep pattern. Out of incomplete. Intended for Sammy White. The pass broken up. John Shara down there at the end zone. So Parkinson that time tried to surprise the Eagles as he went for 6. He did not get it.
Fourth down and 10, and twice last week against the Green Bay Packers, Brant Tarkenton converted fourth down plays to keep the last second drive going, and the Vikings have no thoughts of doing anything else but to go for it right now.
Parkinson huddling the Vikings on the afternoon. 27 completions for 54 attempts. 27 for 54. Throwing it almost every down. A fourth and 10. This is it for the Eagles defense as Parkinson rolls, sets, throws left, still looking, throws the pass. Alone is Tucker, who takes it and goes out of bounds down near the 10. Tucker was alone. Parkinson had the time. The Eagles' rush was not coming, and he found Bob Tucker down to the Eagles' 10-yard line. First down for the Vikings as they drive deeper and deeper into Eagles territory. And now the clock continues to tick all the way down. We're going to have the 2-minute warning. There's a timeout on the field with the score. The Eagles 27, the Vikings 21. In this fourth quarter, in all probability, we have 2 minutes left in this football game. The Vikings have the ball on the 10-yard line of the Eagles. Eagles lead the Vikings 27-21 as Parkinson came through with a pressure fourth down and a pass to Bob Tucker. First and 10 for the Vikings. He slots his wide receivers to the left. The running back's in an open set. Parkinson to Robert Miller, who tries to turn the corner. He's knocked out of bounds at the 6-yard line. There is a flag thrown on the play. Bill Berge was the man who strung all the way to the left and knocked him out of bounds. But there is a flag thrown inside the 10. And let's wait and see what happens here. It could be holding against the Vikings. It is.
Well, it's been a long time since the Eagles got a break in this ball game, and almost the whole second half, in fact, has gone the Vikings' way. But here's one that bounces the Eagles' way, a holding penalty that's going to take the Vikes back to the 20-yard line. 1:55 to remain. Eagles 27, Vikings 21.
20 yards separating the Vikings.
Holding number 73, offense, still first down.
Second holding penalty of the afternoon on Ron Yari. Vikings need a touchdown to tie, a touchdown and an extra point to take the lead. They are 20 yards away. It is first down. 4 shots for the Vikings right here. 1:55 remaining in the fourth quarter. One running back behind Parkinson. As he drops, he pumps, he goes long, looking into the end zone. A losing touchdown by Rashad. And the Vikings tie it as he goes up between Herman Edwards and John Shara. And last week's history against the Packers repeats against the Eagles as Rashad goes into the air and the Vikings have tied it up. He was well covered. The Eagles had him surrounded. Parkinson simply puts the ball up, and Rashad did the rest. It's 27-27. And now Rick Danmeyer is in the ball game to try to add the lead. It's slippery. Walt Krause could have trouble with the snap. Harold Carmichael will try to bat it out of the air. He's done that before. The kick is up. It's good. And so the Vikings take the lead at 28-27. But there is still time left in this game. 1 minute and 49 seconds remaining. And the Eagles will take the kickoff and try to move downfield. Jim, we will have to wait and see what happens. A bad break when Ron Jaworski did not come back with the offense on that last drive. They have John Walton in there. He does not have the experience, but he does have the arm.
Absolutely, and 1:49 to go. Eagles special teams now huddling around the 50-yard line, 40-yard line, trying to get something going here. A good return, a couple first downs, and who knows, this game is far from over.
That drive was 90 yards, 13 plays. Ron Jaworski has the warm-up jacket off. I think he's going to come back in this ball game and try to drive the Eagles down in a 2-minute drill that they work on so often in practice. Try to drive them down. Although I would hate to see this game hinge on a field goal. This field is so icy. Jamona awaits the kickoff to the far side. Hampfield to the near side. Vanmeyer. Now they have Montgomery in there, I believe, to try to take this thing down. Montgomery is in there. Jamona and Montgomery. Here's the kickoff. It's high. It's short. It's Montgomery at the 15. To the 20. To the 25. Montgomery to the 30. 35. And he's down at the 38-yard line. So little Wilbert did his number and took it out to the 38. And they have some operating position. Eagles are first and 10. The ball at their own 38-yard line. And it is Jaworski in the game.
Right. Just going to say, Ron Jaworski is the quarterback. Good position here on the 38-yard line. And Wilbert, in a game of so many inches here, a narrow break almost breaks that one all the way.
A minute and 42 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Eagles trailing the Vikings by a point. Out to the near side comes Kenny Payne and Harold Carmichael. Out to the far side goes Charlie Smith as they operate with three wide receivers. Back to the open set. Jaworski dropping, setting, giving ground, being chased, fires to Hogan. He's thrown for a loss at the 36. Jaworski went to Hogan, and Hogan could not get free of Phil Wise, who drops him back at the 36. So now, the Eagles get nowhere on that play, and the clock down to 1:22 and running. It is a second down and 10, as all he does is go back to the line of scrimmage. Again, the three wide receivers employed. The backs are wide open. Jaworski being rushed, rolling right, still rolling, and the Vikings back him inside the 30 at the 28. Mark Mullaney makes the stop, and down goes Jaworski at the 28-yard line. And now, a minute and 7 remaining, and the Eagles are going to take a timeout. The Eagles are going to have a third down at 21, and they stop the clock at a minute and 7.
Philadelphia.
A minute and 7 remaining in the ball game, and Jaworski huddles the Eagles with a third down and 21. We've seen miracles this season. This one would not fit into the miracle category, but it's a long shot at best. Jaworski breaks in from the huddle. Out to the near side comes Charlie Smith. Carmichael and Payne out to the far side. The backs in a wide open set. As Jaworski goes into the long count. Long count. He's dropping. He's setting. He's looking. Steps out of the pocket. Being chased. Flips the pass incomplete, intended for Hogan. And Mullaney was all over Jaworski to pressure him and throw him down. Jaworski's thrown down. He got the pass away incomplete to Mike Hogan. He avoided the loss. Carl Eller and Mark Mullaney in there on Jaworski, forcing him to unload. He never had a chance, Jim, to set up and look for Smith or look for Carmichael or look for Payne.
Well, it's fourth down now, and all the marbles here. 21 yards to go. The Eagles are going to go for it.
Fourth down, they have to. Just a minute remaining to be played in this football game. Eagles need that long completion, or they need a pass interference against the Vikings. Jaworski on his last chance lines them up, dropping, being rushed, rolling left, setting up, firing down. It is complete. It is complete to Charlie Smith, who has the first down yardage, just complete across midfield, and the Eagles have a first down, and a timeout with 51 seconds remaining to be played in the game, and Jaworski turns some magic of his own. That's 51 seconds. The Eagles have one timeout remaining. The Vikings have all of theirs. They want to get that football at least down to the 25-yard line to give Mike Michel a winning shot. And even then, it would be a long shot. The wide receivers are split. He's got all three of them in there. The running backs are split. The Vikings in the nickel defense as Jaworski retreats. Setting, looking, pumping once, looking again. Incomplete, intended for Montgomery on the far side. Up at the 41-yard line. Incomplete. The play used 6 seconds, second down and 10.
That time of Howard Carmichael ran a deep corner pattern. Charlie Smith was running deep post pattern, and Kenny Payne cut underneath him, and Kenny was wide open. A little bit more time, and Ron Jaworski would have been able to spot that.
Jim, one of the things that Dick Vermeil has said to us so often is that one of the outstanding attributes of Ron Jaworski is his ability to bring a club back. The leadership and the poise, the confidence, and the belief that that right arm can penetrate anything. And he's trying right here. Second down and 10. The ball on the Viking 49. Jaworski retreats. He's rolling right. He's setting up. He's still rolling. He's looking. He's directing traffic. Fires down the sideline. Incomplete. A Viking almost intercepted. He was looking for Charlie Smith down the right sideline at the 25-yard line. Matt Blair breaks up the pass. Jaworski just rolled all the way. He started to go against the traffic. He had some thought about running the football. Eventually unloaded. Vikings almost picked it off, but they didn't. And now it's 3rd and 10 with 35 seconds on the clock and the ball on the Vikings 49.
Vikings, of course, are all over Harold Carmichael in a situation like this, and Ron Jaworski doing the best he can to try and find some of the other guys who are being covered not so much.
There's a 3rd down and 10. 35 seconds remaining to be played in this football game. The wide receivers. Carmichael out to the far side. Payne and Smith to the near side. The running backs open. Jaworski back. Has time. Looks right. Rolling right. Still looking. Being pressured. Still looking. Fires the football. Incomplete. Incomplete. It was intended for Mike Hogan, who was his last ray of hope on the right sideline, but he gets it off. He was belted. I believe Carl Eller was the man who belted Jaworski, but he picks himself up, and he walks slowly back to the huddle. He takes a look at the scoreboard, which reads 26 seconds remaining to be played in this football game. The Eagles 27, the Vikings 28. The football on the Vikings 49-yard line. Drama here in Bloomington, Minnesota. 4th and 10. Parkinson made the 4th down plays. And Jaworski playing out to the near side. In that slot, Charlie Smith. Carmichael out to the far side. The last chance for the Eagles right here. The backs are split. Jaworski calls the signals. He's back. He's rolling. He's setting. He fires the football. Intercepted by the Vikings. Intercepted by Matt Blair, who will fall on it at the 35-yard line. Matt Blair intercepts the pass, and the Vikings are in business. 17 seconds separate the Vikings from the win right here as Jaworski's last big effort, a valiant one, goes awry. 17 seconds remaining to be played in this football game, and Jim, there is one thing we can be pretty certain of, and you know what it is. There will be no exchanges. Parkinson will merely fall on the ball.
Well, I would certainly think so. A guy's been around as long as he is going to crop the ball up in this situation. Very frustrating situation here overall for the Eagles. Ironically, Ken Payne has found some open daylight there, and Ron Jaworski just couldn't get enough on the football to get it over the head of Blair and into the arms of Ken Payne.
17 seconds left, and I have learned to stop giving the credits until the clock says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But nevertheless, it is Parkinson just falling on the football. 14 seconds, and the Eagles will use their final timeout to stop the clock. But that's all they can do. The Eagles will take their final timeout right here, and Parkinson is just going to huddle them back and drop on the football one more time. But we do it all game long. Even when the Eagles led the Vikings 27-14 at halftime, there wasn't one person in the Eagles organization watching this football game thinking this was all but locked up. We've seen Mike Parkinson do it seemingly 100 times. He comes back, and when there are points to get, points needed, he somehow finds ways, invents ways, devises ways, but comes up with ways to get those points on the scoreboard. He's done it before, and unfortunately for the Eagles, he has done it this afternoon. 14 seconds remaining to be played in this football game, and this should do it as Parkinson falls on the ball, and the crowd gets to their feet, and they count the seconds off the clock. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's over. The Minnesota Vikings have defeated the Eagles. The final score, the Vikings 28, the Eagles 27.